Hey everybody, how are you doing today? I hope you're all doing super well. I have Josiah here with me. Say hi, Josiah. Say
Sup? Sorry, I was just dealing with my microphone there.
hi. I
Yeah,
was
how's it
having a
going,
cosplay
everybody?
malfunction.
That is a okay.
I'm doing better
That's
now.
good.
All right, chat room. Josiah, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about what we are doing tonight?
Yeah. So as some of you may or may not be aware, um, starting next Wednesday, I guess this coming Wednesday, um, there is going to be a brand new D&D game on this channel featuring the likes of myself as the DM, Doxy playing a satyr bard, along with a few others. Rust Money, Apocalypto 12, and Messi are all going to be joining us on a journey into Theros, which is a land of Greek inspired Dungeons and Dragons. It's still the same D&D, but things are a little different. Of course, being inspired by Greek mythology rather than the more classic European medieval fantasy that we're used to. So that's starting on Wednesday, which is going to be a banger of a show.
Mm-hmm.
Tonight, however, we are doing something a little bit different. On that show, which is going to be centered around a group of champions, which is going to be the players. There are also a couple champions that are going to be played by myself, who are going to be NPCs. Whether they survive or not, we'll see. But yeah, so one of those characters is a lovely lady by the name of Aspa, who is a rogue, and Doxy is going to be playing as Aspa this evening, as we basically take a little look at the backstory and get a glimpse of who this character is. So basically, Doxy is going to be playing a short, kind of one-shot adventure that is basically the backstory of this roguish character who will be showing up in the Theros campaign that's starting on Wednesday. Um, so think of this as like a little, I don't know, prologue, I guess, to that campaign. Um,
A session 0.5, if you will.
yeah, so like if you missed this, it's not going to necessarily detract from the main campaign, but if you are watching this in watching the main game, you'll have a little bit of extra insight into some of the other characters and kind of what's going on, maybe with some of the NPCs and what their motivations and stuff are. So, yeah. Also, it's just an excuse for us to play D&D, which is always something that we're trying to do at pretty much every given moment of opportunity that we have. So, that is the plan for this evening. Um, yeah. I don't know, Doxy, do you have anything else to add before we get started here?
Let's roll.
That was a really ambitious drink. I thought you were going to say more than two words, but
Sorry.
that's okay.
Let's roll some dice.
Couldn't, nice, nailed it. That's what I was looking for. I was like, just buy me another half a second. Um, all right. So, give me a second here.
Also, chat, I just want to let you know I am not wearing any white makeup. This is how pale I am.
That is entirely true.
I
Yeah.
have no skin makeup on, just eyeshadow and lipstick and eyeliner.
I could not believe it when you told me that. That genuinely blew my mind. Um, all right. Well, if we have nothing else to go over, then we might as well get started.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Great. Welcome to the epilogue of Theros, Strands of Fate. So, for those of you who are not familiar with Theros, Theros is a land of monsters, champions, and gods. It is a place where the collective dreams of mortals manifest over eons as tangible beings. Some good, some bad, most somewhere in between. But today's story does not take place in the bustling polis of Meletis among philosophers and experts of the arcane, nor does it take place atop the blood-soaked arena sands of Akros. Today we find ourselves in the verdant city-state of Setessa. Is a place inhabited by people who truly wish to coexist with nature and the deities that command it. A hub of civilization, surrounded and interwoven with vegetation of the Nessian Wood. In some places, it's often hard to tell what part of the city is actually the city and what is merely an extension of the forest. We see massive trees of impossible age give way to clearings filled with wood and stone buildings, many of which have said trees growing right through them at points, in fact. The city is dotted with many small outdoor courtyards, all of which are meant to honor Karametra, the goddess of the harvest, life, and fertility in one way or another. And we can switch to our other little screen here to get some sweet art going up. There we go. It is in one such courtyard where today's tale begins. We see two women, each adorned in expertly crafted bronze breastplates and fine leather armor, trading blows with a ferocious competitiveness. The sound of scrapes and scuffles, indicative of expert footwork, is punctuated by the occasional pang of brilliant bronze spear clashing against shield. Aside from the sparring match at hand, the courtyard is relatively peaceful. From the shadows of the courtyard overhangs, several well-dressed Setessan women watch over the pair of fighters in contemplative silence. Finally, one warrior gets the better of the other. The mighty Thelia comes tumbling to the ground, her wild brown hair spilling forth as the helmet she wears is thrown from her head and rattles on the ancient stone floor. The other woman stands triumphant, if not a little exhausted. Doxy, why don't you explain and describe what your character looks like?
She looks like this. I am cosplaying as Aspa right now. She's pale, brown hair, wears like hoods and cloaks. I guess if she's full me, then she's kind of short and skinny thick, I believe is what the kids call it.
Very cool. So yeah,
we also have a token of her.
That is
that
true,
you will see later, I'm sure.
That's fine. I mean, I should have just screen capped you in the Zoom call and made that the token, but that's fine. It's too late. So, yeah, you find yourself standing there, triumphant over Thelia, who is someone known to you. She's another champion of Setessa and is essentially your greatest rival. Whether or not that is a competitive but friendly relationship or you hate her guts, that is up to you. But yeah, you basically find yourself standing over her, and she is knocked down to the ground.
Do you yield?
She just like spits out a bunch of blood on the ground. She says, "Of course I yield."
I reach a hand down to help her up and I say, "Well fought."
She nods as you help her up and will take your hand, and you guys do that sweet like warrior forward wrist clasp thing.
Yeah, of course.
Of course. And you pull her up from the ground, and she kind of brushes herself off.
I'd like to say that we're affectionately competitive.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, that's definitely how she feels about the situation. Yeah. She runs a hand through like sweaty, greasy hair. Which maybe wasn't so much that way before this happened. And you guys are just kind of talking a little bit. And once you guys it's clear that the match is over, you see most of these women who are kind of watching from the shadows sort of disperse back into the buildings and structures that are around here. Except for one who is an older woman who you know as Anthusa. She kind of walks up and she says, "Well done, ladies, well done." She says, "You're dismissed." And we'll kind of motion to the front gates of this place.
I'll look to Thessia. That was her name,
Mhm.
right?
uh, Thalia.
Thalia. I'll look to Thalia, and I'll say to the baths then.
He nods and says, "To the baths then." As you guys kind of start to go out on your way, and Fusa, who is this again older but still like very capable warrior, um, she puts a hand on Thalia's shoulder and says, "Actually, I need to have words with you for a moment." And Thalia is like, "Okay, sure." And she says, "I guess I won't be going to the baths then." And she kind of goes to turn to walk with this other lady. Um, and they kind of just walk off into a side building.
Okay. I will go to the baths, and I will
Sure.
bathe myself.
Yeah. Um, so you go and there's a spot in here for sure where there's just a bunch of people bathing. It's like a very open,
Communal.
classical Greek
Yeah.
style communal bath. Um, something that wouldn't be strange or different to you, but that I will note about this place is Setessa is predominantly matriarchal. Like the warrior caste of women, or the warrior caste here is predominantly women, and so when you go in here, there's just mostly women bathing themselves, either getting ready to go out for the day, or most often this place in this courtyard, there are other warriors who are done their duties for the day and are just kind of relaxing before going home. Um, so you bathe, get yourself all cleaned up, and get ready to leave. And as you exit the courtyard gymnasium temple, because it's all kind of one thing, waiting for you on the steps, you see Aoife, who is a slight, fair skinned brunette Setessan. And you recognize this person because they're one of your oldest friends. They kind of perk up when they see you and greet you with a beaming smile as they stand up from the step that they were sitting on and say, "So, how'd it go today?" With like a little bit of a hint of worry in their voice.
Uh, how do you expect it went today?
Eva kind of says, "Okay, okay, relax. Um, I was just wondering. Just that's good. I take it that means you were victorious."
Thalia is a worthy competitor, but I did best her again.
Aoife nods and says, "Well, I guess that's not a surprise to anyone, least of all yourself." Um, and Fusa didn't pull you aside for anything, or any everything was normal.
No, actually, she pulled Thalia aside. Why?
She, Aoife kind of like nods, like almost as if that's the answer that they were expecting.
What are you
And
holding
just
back?
says, "Oh no, no reason." Like they have like a bit of a voice crack.
Tell
Uh,
me.
um, I say, "Okay, all I really shouldn't be telling you this, but
Okay, but you're going to.
okay." I heard from, I mean, not from one of the high priestesses, but I overheard some of them talking about you and Thalia. And as you know, the the oracles have all predicted the emperor is not long for this world, and it is expected that within the next year, the Rite of Succession will be claimed, and every people must send forth a champion of some kind, as you are well aware, and it seems that they are leaning towards choosing Thalia.
Why?
Aoife kind of like looks down away from you and says, "I, you know how the oracles are, and those people, they always have their own reasons."
Clearly, what they are is stupid because I'm faster than her, I'm stronger than her, and she's good. Don't get me wrong, but I'm smarter than her. I'm much more capable than she is.
Aoife kind of puts a hand on your shoulder and says, "Look, I know that. I agree with
They
you."
know it too.
Well, I mean, if you want the answer, you'd have to ask the priestess herself, but
I spit.
I don't know. That's all I really heard.
Nope.
Something about, omens and all that jazz.
Omens.
And something that you would know is that Aoife is like an acolyte at one of the temples. Like, they're not a full-blown like priest by any means, but they're like, they basically work in one of the temples and are like training to be like an augur.
Okay.
Which would be why they overheard all this stuff and kind of have this like inside information.
Did they say what kind of omens?
Well, again, this is all just stuff I overheard, so I could have misheard something, but it seems that the priestesses were worried about the omens of when you were born, and they think that there's some type of... They think that it would be poor if you were to ascend to the throne, that something bad could happen. I believe the word she used was that it was as if there was a dark shadow kind of hanging over you.
It's the same shit I've been hearing since I was a little girl. I thought I could out-train it.
I mean, that's the problem with these things. No matter how good or fast or strong you are, if they believe that there's an omen over you that acts in direct contrast to that of Karametra, it's unlikely that they will give you the time of day when it comes to these things. I mean, I'm sure that you could still be a warrior of great renown and all that kind of thing in Setessa and probably end up captaining one of the towers someday, but that's, you know how they are about these things.
Thanks, E.
They nod and say, well, I'm gonna head home, I guess. Just wanted to see how you were doing. I thought you would have heard about this before I talked to you, so sorry that I had to be the one to tell you, but
it's probably
anyways.
a good thing you told me.
You see like a nervous laugh from them. And they say, oh yeah, well, okay. I have duties to attend to. I just wanted to see you, make sure you're doing okay. And they kind of give you a bit of a hug.
Yeah, I'd give her a quick side hug and head off towards my own domicile.
For sure. Yeah, so Aoife kind of makes their way back towards the southern part of the city, which is where the temples and all that kind of stuff is. And as you walk through the cobbled and overgrown streets of Setessa, you find yourself overwhelmed with a peculiar feeling. This is a moment where the gravity of the situation just begins to set in. I mean, this is something that you've worked your entire life for.
Yeah, there's definitely tears pooling in her eyes.
Yeah, and you get that feeling of like tears forming and trying to hold them back, at least until you can get home and go through the door and like slam the door behind you and just cry a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like this is something that you've worked your whole life for, only to have it taken away by just a perceived notion of your destiny. And even if it does hold truth, I mean, you've always been taught by the priests and priestesses here that a true hero is someone who takes destiny into their own hands and breaks free from the bonds of fate. That's what makes someone a hero. And it seems crazy to you that the people who would say that would also be willing to deny you something that you are clearly meant for, just because of the notion of destiny. And it is at this moment that you hear a peculiar sound. You hear a sound that you've definitely heard before, but it's still one that sticks out in the extreme. The sound you hear is that of a gold coin clattering on the stone street. The reason that this is so weird is because Setessa doesn't have currency. There are no shops here really that people go and buy things with gold. It is entirely barter based. People trade for goods. And the only time gold is ever seen is with outsiders, and outsiders are not allowed in the city except for a specific week during the year when they open up the markets to them. So given that no one here uses gold as currency, this is especially odd.
I whip my head towards the sound.
Yeah, you turn around and you see on the cobbled streets behind you, there is in fact just a gold coin on the ground.
I pick it up and examine it.
Oh, and you pick it up. This looks like a gold coin, like you've seen them before. This one in particular looks like it's from the city-state of Miletus, which is to the west, and is kind of the seat of philosophical power and arcane, and it has emblazoned on either side the visage of the two founders of the city, one's head on each side. And as you're kind of looking at this, you notice out of the corner of your eye there's another one laying on the ground, just like 10 feet off to the side of the road.
I look in the direction of the coin and look around to see if I see anybody that may have dropped these.
You can make a perception check.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's raining coins.
Yeah, so with the 7, you don't see anyone else around. Like, you look around and the streets are just empty. Like, it's pretty much just you. You don't see anyone else. Especially this time of day, most people have either turned in to, like, eat a meal before getting ready for bed, basically. But you do see, like, the other coin that I mentioned, and then even another 10 or so feet beyond that, even farther off the road, you catch the glint of another coin that's kind of, like, between some vines and stuff.
Okay, I'm gonna, a piece of candy style, pick them up.
Totally. So you go to this other coin, you pick it up, and you see this other one, you pick it up, and it's very clear by this point that there's just what seems to be a trail of them almost. Something else you might notice as you pick each one up, each one is different. All of them are legal coins as far as you know, not that you're really an expert on coinage. But this second one you pick up appears to be from Akros, and has the symbol of the god Erebos, who's the god of war, like emblazoned onto it. And another one appears like to be like a Minotaur coin, which is like a little bit bigger. And they're all just different and look like they're all different ages and everything. No two being exactly the same. And you keep this up until you end up with a total of 20 gold coins, which you can add to your inventory if you want as straight up currency. But what you find after you pick up the last one is you're standing in the doorway of what appears to be like a chapel. Like, it's a very small structure constructed to a god of some kind. Like, you've seen structures like this before, but this one is way off the beaten path. Like, by this point you're just around the outskirts of the city, and like you're going through like vines and trees and stuff to get to this point. Like, it's overgrown.
So I've never seen this building before.
You've never seen this building before, and like it looks like no one's seen this building before, at least in a very, very, very long time. And as you kind of push, like it's so overgrown to the fact where you don't even realize you're standing in front of a building until you move some of the vines out of the way, and you're like, oh man, this is like a doorway. Most of this building has been swallowed up by like a large tree that's just kind of grown around it. You're still within the limits of the city, and while overgrown buildings are definitely not an uncommon thing in Setessa, this one looks like straight up abandoned. It's overgrown to the point where even a Setessan would be like, "Oh, that building is abandoned."
I poke my head in then.
Yeah,
and I say, "Evie, Thalia."
You don't get a response, and as you kind of look around, you do find yourself in the doorway of this small but well-constructed chapel that looks like it hasn't been visited in years. There's like a thin layer of dust over the cobblestones and stuff that's in here. But despite that, there are several dozen candles on either side that are lit. So clearly someone's been here, but you have not seen nor heard of this place before. And as you go in and you're kind of like leaning in without even really putting any more pressure on it, the door just kind of like creaks open softly as if it's like inviting you in almost.
Do I see an offering plate?
Yeah, so this is a pretty small room, maybe 30 feet long and like 10 feet wide. At the end of this chapel building, you see like what would definitely be obvious to you is an altar. And there is like an offering plate kind of in front of it, and behind it is a massive set. I say massive, but like probably like 4 feet tall set of scales that are made of pure gold. This immediately, you can make a religion check, actually.
Sure. Just so you know, I would place the gold coins in the offering plate.
Sure.
A religion check, you said?
Yeah. Yeah. 12 is not like amazing, but also this is something that's pretty common knowledge. You looking at this, it's obvious to you that this is a chapel to Erebos, who is the god of death. And also the god of merchants and bargaining.
I would chuckle at the coins as I place them in the offering plate.
Yeah, and like that is a very common thing. Like most followers of Erebos, as uncommon as they are, often wear gold, and like gold is seen as like a sacred thing because you would know in the underworld of Theros there is an abundance of gold, and it's said that Erebos lives in like a golden palace, a golden obsidian palace. So you place these coins in, and there's this almost unnatural kind of wind that doesn't gust or anything too aggressively, but just you feel like almost a presence as you do so. And you hear a voice, what sounds like unintelligible murmuring at first. It's very, very quiet. And then slowly works up to something just above a whisper. And you hear a voice in your head that says, "That which was yours has been stolen, has it not?"
I shake my head and I'm like, Thalia must have rattled me pretty good.
And you hear this voice somewhat a little bit louder, almost as if with each coin that you put into this offering plate, it gains some semblance of strength. And you hear this voice say to you, "Tell me, mortal, do you fear death?"
It's just a part of life.
You hear this voice chuckling almost like, "That is correct. Tell me, do you wish to change your fate?"
More than anything.
"Will you then take up arms as a champion of Erebos and of the dead? I do not ask for something with nothing in return. Will you act on my behalf in the mortal world? Will you do this in exchange for a chance to take the throne?
How can I be sure this is real?
You say that, and you just feel like almost like cold chill wash over you. And you hear the voice say, "There is nothing more real than death." And on the altar in front of you, manifesting, is a piece of leather that just grows and spirals out on top of itself, almost like a snake. And what appears in front of you is a whip. And it is long, like 10 to 15 feet long, black leather. It is beautiful in its craftsmanship, the handle of which is gold with red thread intertwined through it. You can make another religion check for me.
Sure.
You can do this one with advantage because you kind of know what you're doing. Just roll twice if you roll. Yeah,
okay.
Just roll again. I mean, 17 is also really good, but
much better than 12.
Yeah. You. Not only is this a very well-made whip, you recognize this whip. This is a weapon known as mastics, which is often depicted being wielded by Erebos.
No way.
Often when you see, like, you would have seen imagery and stuff. Not that it's very common, because there's very few people who worship the god of death. Most of the time when people reach out to him, it's either merchants because of his connection with gold and bargaining, or it's people who either are dying or have a loved one who is dying that are praying for either a quick passage or that are praying for like the denial of death for a certain amount of time, bargaining in a different kind of way. And yeah, anytime you've seen him depicted, in some depictions he has this whip at his side. In more cruel depictions, he's using this whip to like wrangle souls of the dead, basically.
Is this a replica?
So you'll find it's very real. Pick it up.
I reach out to grab it.
Yeah, you grab it, and it is an undescribable feeling. Like, this is indeed a weapon that was forged for, by, and used by a god. And you hold it.
I feel like I drop it at first and then pick it back up. Yeah,
absolutely, because it would be quite shocking. It's weird to describe it as like you can feel the power that is suffused into this item. When you drop it, you again hear the same voice, which is somewhat louder now, saying, "Is that real enough for you?" And when you look at this whip, in the shadow that it casts, like just kind of along the floor and on itself, anywhere light isn't hitting it directly, it looks almost like a star field. Like it's black where the shadow is, but there's almost little stars dotted throughout it.
I'll grab it in both hands and get down on one knee and say, "How can I serve you, Erebos?"
Yeah, you hear this voice again say, "At the edge of the Despair Lands, to the south, there is one known as Isidoros. Once a giant, then deceased. He fled the underworld, following the path of wretched Fenax. Return his soul to me, and see your own strand of fate return to where it ought to be threaded. Place his golden death mask at this altar, and see your destiny made whole." And you would know, so this is kind of a concept which I will explain. This is something your character would know about, but the returned are souls that were in the underworld, people who have died, and basically managed to sneak out of the underworld. The only problem is doing so requires you to cross the rivers that ring the world, and crossing through them, if you're not taken back into the underworld by all of Erebos's guards and all that stuff, it completely erases your identity, all of your memories, and not just your memories, but the semblance of who you are and like everything. it's like you're a completely different person when you get to the other side, often without much drive or focus. So what these people do, souls who seek to flee the underworld, because there's such an abundance of gold, they create something kind of like a death mask for themselves that they forge out of gold and then wear over their face. So when they get to the other side and their identity is erased, and also their face is literally erased except for their mouth, they have these golden masks that they wear that are kind of like a reminder sort of who they were before. A big thing with Erebos and his followers is they typically leave most mortals alone. They hate returned because they're literally defying the cosmic order. Like, there are people who have died that have come back to the mortal world, which is not normal. So when he talks about the golden death mask of this giant, he's talking about the mask that this returned giant would be wearing as like a pseudo face, basically.
I'll see it done.
Yeah. When you say that, you feel yourself with the whip almost become, you feel a much deeper connection with it, and as you are attuned to the item, and you hear Erebos say, "Good. Do look after Mastix for me."
Of course. You won't hurt Thalia, will you?
Says, "I merely will find a way for your destiny to be fulfilled."
As I exit the temple, I say, please don't hurt her.
Yeah, you exit the shrine. And as you do, like, the candles go out as if they're no longer needed. And yeah, you have a Mastix, which is this insane whip. That is on your character sheet already, but just for the folks at home,
I can show them my character sheet real fast if you think I oughta.
I think that's okay. You don't necessarily have to, but
Okay.
Mastix basically is a +3 whip, that causes you to it's the +3 whip that also does 3d8 necrotic damage on, or sorry, 2d8 necrotic damage on top of the regular damage that it deals. It also heals you for half of the amount of necrotic damage that you deal, and once per day you are able to make an attack with it from up to 300 feet away from something, which is kind of crazy. Yeah.
But I can only attack with it once per day, or
no, it functions as a regular whip and does all that stuff. Once per day you're able to hit something 300 feet away from it.
Okay.
So you get one like sniper whip shot, basically.
Okay.
And the reason for that is something that's what you would know about this weapon as well, is often Erebos is depicted as, when souls are trying to flee the underworld, he can extend the whip to hit anyone and anything within the underworld. So it doesn't matter how far away you are from him, if he knows you're there and you're trying to leave the underworld, he can grab you with that whip and pull you back into the underworld as long as you're still there. However, once people get outside of the underworld, then you're kind of hooped. Well, he's kind of hooped anyway. Yeah. So you have that in your inventory now. It is a crazy weapon. So what would you like to do?
I would actually turn back in and leave my dagger.
Sure. Are you just leaving it like in the offering plate, or just like, okay, cool.
Not my parrying dagger, but my regular dagger.
Just one of your, yeah, because you have 2 +1 daggers in your inventory, so just one of them. Okay, cool.
And then I will just run in the direction of the giant to the south.
Okay. I will let you know, it is like kind of close to the end of the day, so if you want to wait until tomorrow and get a full day, that's fine, but if you want to go right now, that's fine as well.
Yeah, I would go right now.
Okay. So you dip out of Setessa. You get to the southern gate, and like it's not locked or anything right now. You just walk through, and you would see a bunch of these Setessan warriors kind of standing guard along the gate and patrolling around outside. Yeah, and you start again. There's no real road that leads out of this place because you're running to the south, which is basically directly into the Nessian Wood, which is this crazy like enchanted forest that is to the south of Setessa. The Nessian Wood is generally pretty safe. It's the domain of Nylea, who is the goddess of the hunt and of nature and all that stuff. Again, being from Setessa and just knowing what most people know, generally her lands are pretty safe for mortals as long as you're not actively doing something that she's going to have a problem with, like going and killing for sport or something like that. She doesn't even have a problem with people killing animals as long as they're not just doing it for like pelts and stuff. There's many tales spun about Nylea punishing hunters who have gone into her wood just to kill with no real reason to. But yeah, as long as you're not planning on like hunting the last albino rhino or something, you're fine. You're good. So yeah,
I probably would have stopped at whatever communal like diner type deal there is and snagged a road meal.
Sure, yeah. You just go to like a local
or like a bakery or something.
Yeah, exactly. Like just like a local, like there would be places here where they just prepare food. Because again, they don't really use currency here, and the big part of Setessa, for lack of a better term, is they're basically just like hippie communists. So they like everyone's needs are kind of attended to. Like the hunters go out and hunt for the entire place, and like so you could easily go by one of these places, which would probably be quite close to the gate, and get like some rations and stuff, and they'd be able to give you just different types of cured meat and that kind of thing that you can just grab and eat while you're going. So yeah, you start heading into the Nessian Wood, which is immediately outside the gates of Setessa. As you do so, can you make a perception check for me?
Sure.
That's great. As you do, you hear from the direction of the city what sounds like a person's voice. Just being like, Aspa! Aspa! And you turn around and you see Aoife like running after you from behind, from the direction of the city.
Yes, Eva?
You stop, and Eva just kind of runs up and is like, puts her hands like just above their knees and bends over for a second and is like, where are you going?
I have to go to the south.
Okay, why? I heard someone said you were leaving town. Where are you going?
You're terrible at keeping secrets, Aoife.
I know. What does that have to do with any of this?
Well, it's a secret.
Aoife like looks up to you and just sees the whip. It's like, oh my god.
Just please don't say anything or come with me.
He says, what? What are you doing? Where are you going?
I'll only tell you if you come with me.
Aoife says, well, obviously, if it's something you need help with, I'm gonna come with you.
I don't think I'll need help, but I would like company.
That's
and I wouldn't like you to tell anyone what I'm up to.
I mean, that's helpful in its own way. I can help. I'm helpful.
All right, once we're outside the city and deep within the wood, I will tell you where we are going.
Okay. They just kind of like
I hand her
pull
one
up
of my
their
rations.
backpack. Yeah, Aoife just starts munching on that as you guys leave the city. And yeah, you guys walk for a good like half hour. This is a place that would, for most people, would be like kind of difficult to traverse because you live grown up around here. It's like you just not gotta know which plants to not step on and which ones are cool to step on for one reason or another.
I fill her in. I tell her everything as we're walking. I tell her everything that happened. I tell her that I plan on killing this giant and bringing back a mask, and that Erebos will help to make me the village champion. Or the city champion, I suppose.
Yeah. Eva's like, okay. Well, I mean, if anyone can do it, I think you can. You know, I'm always your biggest fan. Yeah, I mean, you know, Erebos is kind of misunderstood. He gets a bit of a bad rap, but like if he's gonna help you, then that's cool.
He gave me this. Try and touch
Yeah.
it. Try.
I don't want to.
It's kind of a rush.
I don't want to touch it.
Okay.
Like it's cool. It's super cool that he gave you that. But like I don't want to touch that.
Well,
But
I
you
have
can,
the
clearly.
appropriate tool for the job. I have a location. And I think I have the ability.
Oh yeah, so I mean like a giant, that's rad. That's scary, but like cool. You know, on account of their size and
Big.
stuff, but like
They're big.
they're real big and like kind of spooky. But hey, I mean if Erebos believes in you, then who the heck am I, right?
I didn't even ask him if he'd turned to anyone else. I just
I
got
mean,
so excited by the idea of being the champion that took him
gods
up on it.
typically don't turn to other mortals. Like if they tell you to do something, you're usually gonna do it one way or another.
I am going to do it one way or
I mean,
the
we
other.
all know what happened to the city of Olanton. But yeah, so neat, fun trip. This is cool. Yeah, let's trot on out of here. So you guys start going through this forest, and we're just gonna do a bit of a montage that takes place over the course of like about 3 days. We traveling through this wood, and I mean, it's easy enough for you to navigate, but Aoife is definitely more as someone who's literally training to be what is essentially a cleric. They're more in the know about like specific healing plants and that kind of thing, and like will help you like prepare meals and that kind of stuff, and you know, be like, oh, this thing is poison, but it also tastes really good if you boil it first. Like that kind of stuff. So you guys go along, you have your little forest montage. And yeah, we're gonna say it's on, I don't know, day 3, about mid-afternoon. Make for me a perception check if you would be so kind. You can actually do this with advantage.
Okay.
We're just rolling. 18's also very good, but
Certainly better than 9.
it's definitely better than 9.
Twice as good as 9 even.
You could and should say that it's twice as good. So you were traveling along the road, or the path, really, like this kind of beaten down trail that exists. I'm strong again. And You hear a sound, which sounds like something moving through said path as well, which isn't really that weird because there's a lot of wildlife around here. What's weird about it is to you, it sounds like shoes and boots. Like this is not a sound being made by an animal. It sounds like people walking. And you can hear this kind of just up ahead on the trail.
Real quick.
Yeah.
Sorry. Before we pursue this sound, will you tell us about the city that Aoife just referenced?
Lanton? Yeah. Sure. This is something that you would, again, definitely know about. It's a very famous story within Theros. Lanton was another predominantly human city that was on the far western coast of the continent of Theros. And no one's really sure what they did, but they upset Heliod, who's the god of the sun and like justice and light, and they upset him to a pretty intense degree. So much so that he blotted out the sun over Olanton for like 2 weeks. And it wasn't like he took the sun away. Specifically, it was almost like a dome went up, basically, of darkness and just put Olanton in permanent darkness for 3 weeks. Olanton was a city that was way ahead of its time in terms of magical inventions, I guess, and ideas. And a lot of people think that's why they pissed off Heliod so much, was because they had an immense level of hubris where they're like, we are like the pinnacle of human achievement. Like we can do magic that like some of the gods can't even do. So Heliod basically put them in check and was like, we're going to just chuck you into a realm of darkness for 3 weeks. However, during that time, some of their most gifted archmagi and powerful spellcasters created what was effectively a faux sun inside of the dome of darkness. They created this massive ball of burning light and energy that they put up into the sky so that they were still illuminated after like the 4th day. And when Heliod pulled back the shroud to end their punishment and saw that they had made a false sun inside of their own city, he was so enraged that he chucked his spear into the center of the city and sunk it to the bottom of the ocean and killed like 95% of the people that lived there.
Okay.
So when she was referencing Olanton as in like, yeah, we know what happens when people go against the gods, that is just like the most extreme known example of what a god has done to mortals in the past.
Okay. Thank you. All right, we will pursue the sound. I will like put a hand back behind me and be like,
okay. And so I assume you're trying to like sneak up on these people?
Yeah.
Cool. Go ahead and roll a stealth check.
No problemo.
That's real good. Okay, give me a second here. Okay. I am going to bring you to a map here.
Ooh.
So you hear this noise and you're kind of creeping up to investigate. I'm gonna drag you to this map. As you do, this is what you see. You see what looks almost like a patrol of 5 change the stream. There we go. Of 5 returned walking down this path. The one who's in the front of the pack kind of looks, I don't know what the proper word, more ornate. They have more armor and like a proper weapon and stuff, where the other 4 of them, like they have spears and shields, but they don't look particularly kitted out.
Okay.
As much as the one who's leading them does. And they're walking down the path. I just gotta check this real quick. They do not seem to notice that you are there.
I'm going to Dark Souls plunging attack the ornate one with my dagger and my parrying dagger.
Okay, cool. So you're going to climb up on this rock here and just jump down on him. Okay. Well, that's going to put us in initiative. So you definitely have a surprise round. Go ahead and let me bring up the initiative tracker. There's stuff in here. There. Okay, you can go ahead and roll initiative, and then you're going to get your surprise round. Now let's put on some sweet combat music.
Hell yeah.
That's a really good initiative roll. Great. Let me roll these guys in real quick. Okay. And these guys are basically just all going to act together. Okay. That is a natural 1 on their initiative. Except the boss, but he's also didn't roll very well. Oh, and I guess we should roll an Aoife as well.
I thought that Aoife was a chick.
Aoife does not identify as male nor female.
Okay.
Aoife, which is something your character would know, is pretty common practice in Setessa. Setessa's very chill about gender and how they feel about it. So it's not uncommon in a place like Setessa for people to
What are Aoife's pronouns?
Aoife typically uses they or them.
Okay.
Which I guess I should have explained that at the beginning, and I just forgot to. But that is something your character would absolutely know.
Okay.
Yeah. So, first up in our... Well, you can even get a surprise round. So, what do you want to do? You're going to climb up on top of this rock and attack this dude with your daggers?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm surprised you're not using the whip, but you don't have to. Save that in the chamber.
I am definitely saving it in the chamber.
You can go ahead and make 2 attack rolls. And make another. And you have advantage on these attacks because they're surprised. So just roll 2 attacks again. So we have the 11 and 17. Yeah, so roll for the dagger and roll for the parrying dagger once more.
Okay.
Just take the higher.
Ah.
Okay. Great.
Nice.
So as an assassin as well, you automatically crit any attack you get against a surprise enemy in the first round of combat. So those are 2 hits. One of them actually just was a crit normally. So those are 2 hits and 2 crits. So go ahead and roll your damage. Okay, so that's 5.
Should I just roll it on the one that's critted already?
Yeah, just double click that one.
Okay.
It'll make our lives a little easier.
Oh,
That's
mama.
10. And then you get your sneak attack as well, which
Twice,
also crits.
right?
So roll that 2 times. So is that another 11?
And don't I get it both times?
You can only get sneak attack once per round.
Sure.
But yeah, I mean, you can move yourself on this map too.
Cool. Yeah, I would have landed on him, daggers down, and then tumbled backwards like 10 or 15 feet.
Okay, so you can put yourself wherever you want to be. Cool, because they don't get reactions during the first surprise round. So yeah, You just jump up, spring off this rock, and just stab him like here and here with both of these daggers, and then roll away.
Oh, also I have assassinate.
Yeah, that's the thing that made it
a
crit.
Yep.
That's what made your second.
Here you go, chat.
Yeah. That is a devastating pair of strikes, and this is something that against a mortal, like another human, would likely just result in that person immediately dying. However, he kind of lurches forward and just in this hollow, like raspy voice that they return to speak with this not expressionless mask, because the mask does have an expression on it, but there's no movement to it.
An unmoving expression, yeah.
Yeah, just kind of lurches forward, says, ah, and like looks up at you without really time to react. And then Aoife is going to pull out their they're gonna hop up on this rock and pull out a spear and the shield off of their back, which is like pretty standard fare for your people. And is going to attack twice with the spear. And these attacks are also both at advantage. And they both hit. That's pretty sick, actually. Aoife manages to get in 14 damage. So yeah, after you just move so fast, it's like, what? Aoife's like, all right, guess we're fighting. And they jump up and just like, just stabs down at this guy twice, who's kind of reeling from your hit. And this return just says, we're being ambushed. And the other returns are like, yeah, fucking obviously, dude. It's your turn again, because that was a surprise round.
All right, I tumble back forward, and I strike with my daggers.
That is a pair of hits.
I don't know why it rolled twice for that
Nor
second
do I.
one.
That's a shame, because that one was a crit, but that's okay.
Aren't these both crits anyway because of assassinate?
That's true. He hasn't acted. Yeah. So go ahead and, well, it's a good thing you did roll out there. Okay, great. And roll again, and you get your sneak attack, which also triggers twice. Jesus. Okay, so what is that? That's 8 plus 5, 22.
29.
29.
Altogether.
Oh my god. Cool, so again, you just roll forward and just fucking stab up with these daggers and just eviscerate this dude. And before he even has a chance to realize what's happening, he's dead. I mean, he was already kind of dead.
As he falls to the ground, can I slide the mask off of his face and just kind of like attach it to my vest?
Like your belt or something? Yeah, absolutely. You do that. You just fucking gut this dude. And he falls down. And in return, it's interesting. When they die, when you pull the mask off his face, you see their face, like their flesh is kind of this gray color, and his face has nothing on it except for like 2 gray lips forming this mouth. And there are just like 5 or 6 small holes in their skull that are all kind of just leaking this like black and gray smoke. And when you kill this person, you just see all of that kind of evaporate out of them as their soul is yeeted back into the underworld.
I point my dagger at the closest one and I say, who else is ready to return to Erebos?
You can make an intimidate check if you want.
I would like to.
Given what you just did, you can roll with advantage. Yeah. Okay.
Thank goodness.
Are these guys? No, they're not. Yeah, so this happens, and I mean, I'll leave this up to you. These 4 guys just look, and it's almost impossible to tell what emotion they are feeling because of these masks. They all just get ready to start running.
I will pursue them and kill them all for Erebos.
Okay, so then we're not going to just end combat. They don't get a turn yet. Aoife is going to go here and attack with their spear. And hit twice. What a baller. Oh. Their first attack actually just takes out the first guy.
Nice.
And then the second attack from Aoife is not a kill. But yeah, Aoife kind of steps forward and just like stabs the other guy, and they go down, and then stabs the next one, and they manage to get out of the way enough so that it's not just a kill. And Aoife's like, "Yeah, you better run." They are going to just start booking it. We're gonna stay on the same map because I'm assuming you're chasing after them.
Mm-hmm.
So they're gonna go. What is it? 5. So they can all move 30, and if they're running, 60 feet. What is your move speed?
30.
Okay. So what we're going to do here instead of regular combat is we'll do a skill challenge, because what's going to happen is they're going to run 60 feet and then you run 60 feet after them, and this goes on forever. Although, can you dash with your cunning action?
Yes.
That's a bonus action, so you can outpace these guys actually. So if you run, like you use your movement action and then your bonus action to dash, you still have a full action. So you can basically get exactly where you are from them and still have an action. And you can like throw daggers and stuff. So we're not going to move them. They run from you. So they are 60 feet away, kind of in the same formation. On your next turn, if you do that thing we just said, you move and then bonus action dash, you can basically get exactly the distance you are away from these 3 last guys.
I will. I'm trying to decide whether I should throw a dagger or bust out the whip.
Whatever your heart tells you.
I'm saving the whip for the giant.
Sure.
I throw a dagger.
Which one are you targeting?
Actually, no, the furthest away one.
Okay. Make an attack roll. What's that? 5, 10, but yeah, he's just within range. Make an attack roll.
Ah!
17 is a hit.
Yes.
4 damage. The only thing is you don't get your sneak attack on these guys because no one's within 5 feet or within threatening range. But that's definitely a hit. Aoife spends their entire turn running up because they cannot bonus action dash and is getting a little winded, but that's okay. Once you kind of realize this, or once they realize this is what's happening, they all turn. They're like, well, we kind of have to fight. So this one, realizing they cannot outrun you, turns around and is going to attack you with one of their scimitars. What's your armor class?
17, but +3 since I have this parrying dagger.
So you can, the way that works is if they hit you, you can use a reaction to add +3 to your armor class for that one attack.
17 is my armor class.
He does not hit you. This one is going to move down here and attack Aoife. And that's going to be a miss. Great. And this one's going to come and attack Aoife also. That's a hit. Okay. So yeah, the first one kind of comes up and even blocks with their shield, and the second guy comes up just behind them and gets in like a little bit of a grazing stab. You hear Aoife kind of go like, ugh, like grit their teeth as they are slashed. It's your turn.
All right. I am... This is the one that has my dagger stuck in it, right?
Correct.
Okay. I'm gonna tumble over to here.
Okay.
I believe that provokes an opportunity attack from this one.
It shouldn't.
I was
sitting next to him, were you?
Here, and then I had to go here, and then here.
You could also just go around.
Okay, I went around.
Yeah, I assumed that's what you were doing.
Can I pull my dagger out of him?
Make a sleight of hand check. against his acrobatics, which is just straight dexterity. Okay, I don't think he can beat you, but let's see. Yeah, easily. Like,
Okay.
they're moving around and, like, attacking and stuff, but you manage to just... and you pull it out.
And does that take one of my actions?
No, that's, like, your item interaction to pull it
Okay.
out.
All right, then I'm going to attack him with both of my daggers.
Well, make the first attack roll and see how that goes. You do get sneak attack on these ones because Aoife's standing right there.
Yep.
That's a hit. That's a hit for sure. That is a kill.
Oh, okay. I will whip around and hit this one. What am
Yeah.
I doing with all of these 20s?
This is insane, dude. Yeah, make roll the damage for the second one.
I clicked it.
Oh,
There we go.
Didn't come through yet. You don't get sneak attack on that one because you already took it on the first one.
Okay.
But it's still a kill. 9 is enough to finish that guy off too. So you literally just like pull your dagger out, spin it around, stab that dude in the throat, and then in one fluid motion whip around and just cut the other dude's throat as well, and they both just stumble to the ground. Aoife, who is like getting ready to respond to that stab that just came their way, is like, okay, and just like is going to attack this other guy. With 1 miss and 1 hit. And that is 1 instant kill, but that's still 7 piercing damage, which is great. Kind of gets this one with a spear attack. They are going to just attempt to run, which Aoife gets an opportunity attack. That's gonna be okay. Oh wait, they don't have advantage on this, so let's see. Cool, and that's just enough to bring the last one down.
Are you all right?
Eva just kind of like looks down at the wound. It's just like, it's not grievous or anything, but it is a slash. And I'm like, oh, how do you do this every day?
I will stick you
I'm
up by the fire tonight.
That would be very kind of you.
Okay.
Okay.
I start collecting all the masks off of them and just like
Yeah.
attaching them to a hook that is on like my vest or something. One of my
Starting a
clothes.
Face collection. Very cool.
And I kind of like wrap my fingers around the whip and like look upwards and smile.
Yeah. Something that's funny. Well, when you do that, you feel 2 things. One is a sense of satisfaction that Erebos is like pleased with your actions. The other is when you do that, you feel a force kind of tugging on your senses, and you just kind of instinctively, instead of looking up, you look down.
Okay.
Because Erebos is quite literally underneath.
Okay.
you.
All right. Yeah, I would do that then.
Which is an interesting thing about Theros as well, is that unlike kind of the abstract idea of different planes and stuff in other D&D worlds, in Theros, the realm of the gods, the Nyx, which is like, you can see it at night when you look up, is this wonderful starscape, and like the underworld are both real and like physical places. Like there are like paths that can take you there. It's not like an abstract idea of like heaven and hell that we might think of it as like kind of a different place altogether. It's like Erebos is literally quite far away, but is underneath you, like below, which is just an interesting little piece of
I found a forest creature.
Yes. A cat walks by. Cool. So with that, the forest once again falls into a relatively peaceful silence. As the sun kind of begins to go down. Yeah. So this, I think, is a perfect spot for, let's just take a quick 5-minute break.
Okie doke.
And yeah, we will be back in 5 minutes, and we will see what happens next. Until then. Hello,
Hello.
and welcome back.
No, you welcome back.
No, you.
No, you chat room. Welcome back.
All right. So, we are currently in the Nessian Wood, traveling to the south to find this giant individual known as Isidoros, who Erebos has requested our champion bring low. Now, you settle in for the night after this encounter on the road, which you just murdered those dudes straight up.
Didn't stand a chance.
Yeah, the cool guy didn't even get to do any of his cool things, so he instead was deleted from this plane of existence, which is awesome. Yeah. So you make camp, you help Aoife tend to their wounds, albeit quite minimal ones. And you, I presume, turn in for the night?
Yeah.
Cool. So you settle in. That's fine. Again, all things considered, despite your mission, this forest is quite peaceful, you know. Everything is tranquil and balanced, especially more so than any other forest you've ever been in. This is probably the deepest you've been into the Nessian Wood, albeit you have been in here before. You are like days in at this point, which is quite far. So you you wake up, everything's great, and you start heading south, continuing your journey here. What are you doing as you travel? Are you just traveling in silence with
No, I'm sure we're chit-chatting. We're homies, right? Like, best homies. So, probably just talking about when I'm emperor, I'm gonna make this and that happen, and of course you'll be by my side, and I can't believe they picked Thalia. Thalia's great. I love Thalia, but clearly I'm the choice here. Blah, blah,
yeah,
blah.
that is something that she will ask you about, is like, what, like, why do you want to be the emperor or empress, I guess, in your case?
I've trained my whole life for it.
If that's right. I guess I was just asking.
Do you think I'd do a bad job?
I think you would do a great job. I'm just curious. I guess the only reason that I want to do the things that I want to do is just because I've always wanted to do them. I never really thought about it before. Anyways, and you guys just keep moseying along. One thing that you will kind of see happen here is as you get further and further south, the Nessian Wood starts to give way to the place, an area known as the Despairlands, which is just this kind of, at one point was part of the wood, but is very much decaying. And it's not so much like it's advancing and slowly picking away at the Nessian Wood. It's almost like a fine line where there's maybe a few miles where the two kind of overlap a bit. And then you just get into this area where things are decaying and dying. And like the trees have less leaves on them and stuff the further you go, until eventually you will get to a point where there's just like no trees left at all. This area is considered pretty much cursed and abandoned by the gods. There is a large city there called Asphodel, which is a straight up necropolis. Like, it is a city of returned. It is where returned live, or unlive, I guess, whatever. And there are different cities that are inhabited by Return, but Asphodel in particular, the Return that live there tend to be quite. They hate the living, and whether or not they hate the living because of the way the living treat them, or the living hate them because of the way that they treat the living, it's unclear. But the Return of Asphodel just are generally quite disagreeable, and their influence is what's kind of corrupted this land. But as you're traveling and you find yourself at a point where the forest and the Despairlands are finally starting to overlap. The trees are looking much less alive. There's way less animals around. And something that might catch your attention is as you walk, you hear like a snapping sound. And you look to see that you're stepping on bone of some creature. Maybe it was human in nature or something much larger. It's hard to tell. But there are definitely lots of bones and remnants of corpses, just indicative of the death that has kind of overtaken this land, like skeletons of great stags and that kind of thing just littered throughout, which have probably been here for a long, long time.
I look to Aoife and I say, what a charming welcome, Matt.
Aoife says, well, yeah, I mean, I guess there's a reason that Erebos doesn't want Return spreading back into the mortal world. After all, those who are dead should do the rest of us a favor and stay that way, I guess, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Can you make for me a perception check?
Yes.
Great.
Also, I'd like to know what Aspa knows about Aoife's abilities.
Yeah. Aoife is a wonderful cook. Aoife is great at cooking stuff with herbs that they find around. Aoife has got training with spear and shield as well as like daggers and stuff. Pretty typical of the people who live here. Like Aoife is not what you would call a warrior.
Right. But
most people in Setessa do receive some level of martial training. So like Aoife is like a competent fighter for sure. Aoife would be like what you consider, if you were to put it in military terms, like a member of like a militia. Like Aoife doesn't go out fighting, but if the city were ever attacked, like they would be expected to pick up like their weapons and like come help like defend the city or whatever, right? In terms of actual supernatural abilities and that kind of thing, Aoife is an acolyte of Karametra, who is the goddess of harvest and life and family and that kind of stuff. And Karametra, kind of bestows all manner of different powers amongst her followers, but Aoife in particular has the ability to do like minor feats of healing. So like you're talking like cure wounds, basically.
So nothing with like rain or clouds or nothing.
No.
Okay.
Nothing quite that extreme.
A fog wall.
I was actually about to say one spell that Aoife would have access to is Fog Cloud. Excellent. Which is a level 1 spell.
I would ask him to prepare it. Them to prepare it.
Yeah. If you say, hey, can you prepare this? Absolutely. Aoife will kind of take the time and gather up the required regions from the forest and stuff. And we'll say, yeah, sure, I can... whenever you need me to do it, just let me know. And I can make some fog. Yeah, so as you guys are traveling through this crunchy part of the forest, yeah, you already made your perception check there. Perfect. It's getting close to nighttime by this point. You feel a presence, not one that you can immediately see, but you would see these kind of shapes starting to form, maybe out of the corner of your eye. And what eventually happens is, as you get kind of into this clearing, you see 3 humanoid creatures, each of which look to be made out of a weird, like almost thin bark-like material, almost like birch bark, but it's soft gray. And like kind of at the top part of their face from their nose up, it like springs out and kind of disconnects. So there's like you can see a hollow point in the back of their skull and stuff, and they don't have eyes or anything. And all the hollow parts of them are represented by like a black star field, like the Nyx almost. And you see 3 of them, and they're moving closer towards you.
Eva, should we hide?
You can roll a nature check here if you want to see if you know what these creatures are. That's pretty good. Yeah, you would actually recognize these creatures as lampads, which are a type of nymph, but much the way that like forest nymphs live within the forest. And you have I can't remember what the other ones are called, but there are different types of nymphs that occupy different like types of nature, basically. And lampads are akin to forest nymphs, but they occupy places where death and decay is quite prevalent. And that is what you are looking at.
Do I know if they are like aggro?
They're moving towards you, and you've heard of these creatures just like killing people for no reason. Or for what they perceive as no reason anyway.
I think we should hide.
Cool. You can make a stealth check if you want. Now we'll roll for Eefster.
Can I like assist them by like pointing out a good place?
Yeah, you can help if you want to give advantage.
I would really like to, yeah.
You rolled a 13, which is pretty good. Let's see if it's enough. Cool. So there's like kind of a ridge that you see. It's very like Lord of the Rings-esque. Like, get off the road. Like there's like a ridge that kind of goes over. And one of these things is like directly above you guys. And it kind of leans forward, and you can like see up through the holes in its body, the places where the stars and the Nyx are kind of there. And it makes this bizarre like clicking sound. And it doesn't seem to notice you. And just as it goes to turn away, you turn to your side, and there is another one immediately directly beside you.
I say, clever girl. I'm just kidding, I don't do that.
And we're gonna go ahead and roll initiative.
Okie doke.
I will take you to a map that has things to fight on it. They rolled stupidly high on their perception checks to see you guys.
Fuck.
Okay. I'm sorry, I forgot to bring the tracker up. Oh, it went in anyways.
I would have been happy to re-roll that.
That is A-okay. Oh no.
Super oh no. Oh no.
Ooh.
Oh no. There's 4 of them? Oh, okay,
There's 3 of them.
Never mind.
You can see the map and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I just realized chat can't see. Well, not chat on Facebook can't see anyway, so I gotta move this over. There we go. Now everyone can see what's happening. Okay. Yeah. So let's go ahead, chuck some combat music on. Great. Boom. Okay. You are not surprised, but you do not get to act first. The one that acts first is actually the one that's immediately beside you.
Okay.
And it is going to reach out and try to touch you. It does not have advantage on this attack. Oh my god. Okay.
Crit.
Yep. It's a mediocre crit though. You take 12 damage and 1 necrotic damage. However, that 1 necrotic damage does not affect you.
Nice.
So you take 12 damage.
What's 31 minus 12? 19.
If you click on your token...
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
Thank you. I appreciate you telling me.
No problem. This other one is going to come over and try to do the same thing to Aoife. And is going to do the complete opposite and roll that one. Great. It's your turn.
All right, so I'm going to provoke an attack of opportunity and go up here to get this one and hopefully take it out in one turn.
Are you planning on attacking twice? I was going to say you
Yeah.
can bonus action disengage, but if you're planning on attacking twice...
Yeah, I'm trying to attack twice so that I can get my sneak attack and stuff on it.
Make your first attack roll. Alright, actually I guess it's going to try to hit you as you run away first is what's going to happen.
Okay. Cool. So that doesn't count.
AC...
Cool.
No, it definitely does, but your AC is 17.
Yeah.
It misses you.
Okay.
Just barely.
Well, I still have advantage on these though, right?
This one hasn't acted yet, so yes.
Okay. Fuck.
17 is a hit.
Okay, cool.
So roll your second attack when you do it with advantage. Okay. That's 2 hits.
Close to crit. But these are crits anyway. I don't know how to make them crits.
Just roll the extra dice. I can throw it on there.
Here's a sneak attack. Here's a sneak attack. And then I don't know what extra dice I get for a crit.
Just do the 2 attack rolls for the daggers.
Okay.
And you're gonna add 1d4.
To
Literally
each of
just
them?
roll, for each one. So roll an extra 2d4.
It's trying.
9, 18, 26, 30, 36. Jesus. Okay, cool. So you go up and stab this thing twice and connect to great effect. It does not go down, however.
Okay.
Is there anything else you want to do?
I would look to Aoife and say, now.
Okay. Aoife creates a fog cloud, which I don't know if I have a thing for this. I'm just gonna look up the spell real quick.
Sorry.
I don't have to apologize. You're fine. I just need to see what the radius on fog cloud is. Fog cloud is a 20-foot radius, which means that we're gonna go 5, 10, 15, 20. Perfect. So Aoife does a fog cloud which is centered at this point, which is gonna get everyone inside. Can you see that square that's there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that's the fog cloud. Everything within that is obscured.
Awesome.
So yeah, Aoife says a quick prayer to Karametra, and is like, hopefully this works, and it does. Fog cloud kind of springs up. Aoife will then move to try to attack this one here with disadvantage because Aoife cannot see it.
Can't Aoife step out of the fog cloud and gain?
You cannot see into the fog cloud.
Okay.
But you also can't see through it. Like, creatures in it are obscured, but you also are obscured from other people trying to see you.
Yep.
So it's a weird instance where it ends up canceling out because you have advantage and disadvantage.
Mm-hmm.
You have disadvantage because you can't see, but you have advantage because they can't see you. So it ends up being just an attack at normal. Aoife rolls a 24 and a 10, so the 24 is a hit. For max damage, 11 piercing damage. Now it's the Lamban's turn. The one immediately in front of you is going to attack you 2 times. Boom, boom. Okay, one is a miss, one is a hit. Boom. Take it 9.
Fuck.
How much of that is necrotic? Yeah, okay, so cool. You take 9 damage.
Yeesh.
Yeah, the only reason the other one was because it was a crit, not because it was necrotic. That was my bad. Okay, yeah, so you take 9 damage. This one down here is going to go ahead and move up here. But you know what? It doesn't need to get close to you to do this. Can you make for me a I believe it's a wisdom saving throw? I'm sorry. It's not actually a saving throw, so you're good. It's an attack roll on their part. You don't have to make it. He's casting Chill Touch on you.
Okay.
I'm
so glad I got that out of the way then.
Right? With that advantage, that is a miss. The other one is going to try to do the same, staying where it's at, which also misses. Okay, it's your turn.
Okay. I'm going to hit the one immediately north of me. And I get advantage back from Skulker, right?
So it breaks even because you can't see it, but it can't see you. So you have advantage and disadvantage.
Okay. But isn't that everybody has advantage and disadvantage?
Correct.
But since I have Skulker, doesn't that give me advantage back?
No.
Okay.
Advantage and disadvantage don't stack. You just either have it or you don't, and you have both of them, so it doesn't matter. Okay, well, who cares? Go ahead and roll your damage. Yeah, it dies.
Okay.
You can roll your second sneak attack, though, because you crit just for funsies. This is unbelievable.
Yeah, Aspa's pretty deadly.
Casual 26 damage. Cool, you do that, and then as you pierce it with your dagger, you just hear like a as its essence dissipates. You still have another attack though. Go for it.
Yeah, I'm going to.
It's a hit. Okay.
Aoife, I'm pretty hurt.
Aoife can do something about that. 2d6. Yeah. Aoife comes over and puts a hand on you, and you heal for 9. 7 plus charisma, right? Or no, it's plus wisdom. But yeah, you heal for 9.
You're a lifesaver, Aoife.
Aoife just taps you, like pats you on the shoulders. You can do it. This one is dead. This one is the one immediately in front of you, which is going to attack you. That's a hit. For 7 damage. And it's going to attack you again. Which is another hit. Keep in mind you have that parrying dagger.
Oh. Yeah, I want to use that to raise my... I would like to use that to raise my armor class to 20.
Cool. You do that as the second one swipes at you. The first one hits. The second attack, you get that dagger up and manage to actually push its hand out of the way. This one is going to attack Aoife. Boom, boom. 2 times. 1 hit, 1 miss. Aoife's going to take some necrotic damage. It's your turn again.
I'm going to disengage. Come around to this one and attack just the once. Oof.
That's a miss. You're just attacking once?
Yeah, that's all I can do because I used my bonus action to disengage.
Right. Okay. Aoife is going to try to team up with you and attack this one. And 1 hit, 1 miss. They're consistent, I'll say that much. Over. Piercing. Okay. Lamp pads. This one is going to step here and try to cast Chill Touch on you. Huzzah. And they miss laughably so. This one's going to reel around and try to touch you twice.
I would like to use my parrying dagger.
Well, if one attack misses, the other one hits, you're going to try to parry that one?
Yeah.
That brings your armor class up to what, 20?
Uh-huh.
So you swipe its hand out of the way, and it isn't quite enough, and it still manages to get through.
Okay.
You take 9 necrotic damage.
But I don't take necrotic damage, though, right?
You do take necrotic damage. The thing that I was confusing it with for earlier was it crits you, and you don't suffer the effects of critical hits. It's not the necrotic damage that you're immune to.
Okay, I spit out a lot of blood. It hits Aoife in the face.
Perfect. It's your turn, by the way.
Die, motherfucker.
It's a hit. Okay. Okay. God. All right. 2 great strikes. Send this thing reeling back, but it is not destroyed. Aoife, how many spell slots you got, fam? Yeah, Aoife can like kind of dance around this thing to try to heal you a little bit. Let me just bake this in this time. There we go. Heal 4 HP.
Fuck.
As Aoife rolls 2 1s on that healing word. This one is going to try to Chill Touch you again. And miss. The other one is going to reel around. Go for a hit. That's 1 miss.
I'd like to use my parrying dagger.
And that's another miss. It misses you twice. Roll a 14 and an 8.
Good shit.
It's your turn.
Alright, motherfucker.
That is a miss.
Okay. Fuck!
That's a hit, though.
Oh, okay.
For 3, plus sneak, plus 6. That's 9. All right. Aoife is going to spear it, maybe. Boom. It hits once. Or they hit it once, rather, for 11. Cool. Okay. My bad. What's she doing?
It's still not dead. We're gonna die, Aoife.
What's your armor class?
20, because I'd like to use my parrying dagger.
This you can't parry because it's a spell.
Okay, 17.
Cool, you take 10 necrotic damage.
I'm down.
Are you down? Or do you have that,
Oh yeah, I have Heroic Destiny. Here, chat, I'll show you.
Like, that was your supernatural gift, wasn't it?
Oops.
Yeah, so you get reduced to 0, but you actually go to 1 HP instead.
So, am I prone?
No.
Okay.
You just are at 1 HP instead of being knocked unconscious.
All right.
So yeah, this thing casts Chill Touch on you, and you feel like your life force draining away. And it, you then kind of just feel Erebos's influence, like, forcing you back to your feet, basically. And you hear that little voice in your ear saying, "Not yet." Well, let's see if this will do it. His first attack is a hit. This one you can
I'd like to use my parrying dagger.
Cool, that is enough to turn it into a miss. The second attack is also a miss. It's your turn.
I really need this guy to fucking die.
It's a hit. Minus 17. And that is a kill.
Oh, fuck yeah. Okay, I'm gonna use my Oh, I just used my bonus action! No, I didn't.
No, that was only one attack.
I'm going to use my bonus action to chug my minor healing potion for 2d4 plus 4.
Keep in mind you can also hide as a bonus action as well.
I don't want Aoife to die.
Cool. Go ahead and drink your potion.
It's trying. It's trying real hard. It just says rolling the dice, dot.
There you
go. Okay, so 9. Cool.
That should also be +2, so yeah. It should be
plus 2?
Yeah, it's only +2.
Oh, my bad. So it's 7. 7 points, right?
For a regular healing potion, yeah. You got it.
God, minor healing potions are so bad.
Yeah. It's Aoife's turn. Let's go ahead and call that a spear attack. And another spear attack. That's 2 hits. For a total of 12 damage. This one is going to attack Aoife. With a couple of these bad boys. Miss twice. Cool. This one's dead. It's your turn.
Alright. Now I get that fucking advantage.
What do you get advantage from?
Being able to see him and having sneak attack. He's next
Sneak attack doesn't give you advantage.
Or not... Doesn't it give you advantage? Hold on.
Nope.
I thought I got advantage from him being next to him.
No, that just allows
I just
you to
get
do
sneak attack? Okay,
damage.
my bad. Then I guess that was a 10, and therefore a miss.
Correct.
God damn it.
That's a hit, though.
Okay.
13.
What languages do we know here? I guess in common, I will say, I've slain both of your allies. Don't make me slay you too.
Okay. You can roll an intimidation check if you want. That's an amazing intimidation check. Okay. So this is an interesting situation. Which this is something I probably should have told you beforehand, but since you rolled it anyways, and this is how it worked out, this is what's gonna happen. Lampads as Fae of like these creatures literally almost comprised of the essence and idea of death are immune to being frightened.
Okay.
However, you say this and like mid-sentence you finish saying this with like a voice that is not your own. And this lampad that is remaining just like looks at you, and it's very hard to tell because I mean I don't know how zoomed in you are on that token or not, but they're from the here up it's just like a spreading of branches and shit. It looks at your direction, like its head twists towards you, and there's like a sickly kind of snapping sound as it does so, as these things are just so uncool to look at and hear them move around and stuff. And it actually goes to a knee. It doesn't say anything, but it just stops fighting you and takes a knee.
Aoife, let's go. And we back
like,
away slowly.
Effectively out of combat. Yeah, are you just getting up and walking away?
Yes.
Cool. As you go to walk away, this thing starts following you.
Okay.
And if are you just gonna keep walking, or do you stop at any point?
Nope. Just gonna keep walking until we find a good place to camp for the night.
Okay. You keep walking, and you do find a good place to camp for the night.
I'm gonna make a camp.
You make a camp. It's a good camp. It's a nice camp. You camp.
I will look to it and I will say
It's not there anymore. It's
oh, okay. Okay. Then we will rest for the night.
Cool. Aoife just looks at you and says, I've heard of ordeals, but this is ridiculous.
I was hoping for something tastier than humble pie for dinner.
He says, well, you know, we made it out of there. So...
And there were 3 of them, right?
Yeah, we were outnumbered 2 to 3. Those are crazy odds.
Giants are dumb. I don't know if they're dumb when they're returned, but they're dumb when they're living.
Yeah, sure. It just like throws up blood. Yeah. So you make camp. And who's taking first watch?
If Aoife doesn't want to, I will.
Well, I mean, you guys basically, one of you has to do a watch at some point. You're both gonna have to do it at some point, so basically, do you want to go first or do you want to go later?
I'll be better at hiding in the dark, so I'll go first.
Cool. Okay. So you guys set up your little like 2-person tent, which Aoife has, because you know you just dipped and bolted out of the city with no provisions. So yeah, Aoife finishes setting up the camp, and I imagine you're probably helping making a little fire or something.
Oh, no fire tonight. No way.
All right. So you don't make a fire. You just sit in the cold forest. Aoife goes to bed.
We can snuggle for warmth.
Yeah. You're sitting outside, and what languages do you speak?
Common, Giant, and Thieves' Cant.
Okay. You hear a voice coming from the forest, and it kind of sounds like it's coming from almost all around you at once. It's hard to determine which direction it's coming from. Of a very hollow sounding, almost disembodied voice, which is speaking a language that you do not recognize. But the one word in it that you do recognize is Erebos.
Okay.
And eventually from the forest emerges that one lampad that you saw earlier, who has clearly been following you, but like you guys are making effort to like get away. This thing has just been like meandering towards you. It comes up to your camp. And are you like in stealth right now, or are you just kind of sitting by the camp?
I'm just sitting outside the tent.
Okay. It walks up and stands about 10 feet away from you and like again takes a knee and just says in common this time, albeit somewhat broken, "Mortal, you house Erebos or his will within you?" Almost as if it's a question.
Yes. I show him mastics.
Yeah. When you produce the whip, it reaches out as if it's gonna touch it and then like just doesn't. Like it does that thing where it just kind of does this, like resisting the urge to. And it says, "To what end do you come to this place?"
I forget the giant's name.
His name is Isidoros, or Isidoros. Isidoros.
I've come to fell Isidorus and return him to Erebos.
It kind of looks at you again and like cocks its head. And it says, "The giant one.
Do you wish to aid?"
Interesting. It's like thinking for a second. It says, "The returned are a blight on this place. I will help you do this thing."
I show him the masks and I say, "I agree.
It
We
again
shall
kind of
fell
cocks its
all
head
we
at that.
see on the way."
It nods, looks up to you. These things move with like such jerky like motions. It just kind of looks to you and says, "Very well." And then just like goes and sits down like nearby you, basically at the camp, and just kind of sits there and is just like scanning the tree line.
"Do you mind if I rest?"
This is an unfortunate side effect of your mortality. Rest that you may fight tomorrow.
"Thank you."
This thing just seems fucking unfazed that he just killed two other of it. It says, "My name is impronounceable in your tongue, but you may call me Lamas if you need anything."
"I am Aspa."
Very well, Aspa. May the god of the dead watch over you as you rest, lest
And-
you mistakenly slip into the underworld.
"And you as well."
It says,
And
"I do not rest, but thank you." The
At all
sentiment
times.
is regarded.
And I duck into the tent and like roll my eyes, and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, this is kind of cool.
You get in there, Aoife is just like asleep but shivering.
I snuggle them.
Yeah.
Um, I wake them up.
Hmm.
I say, you'll get to go back to sleep, but I just recruited that thing we fought.
He says, they say, cool, super cool. This is great. All right, well, I guess that means I don't need to take a watch then, huh?
Mm-mm. Get
I'm
rest.
okay with it. And just goes back to turn over, like, huddled with all the blankets and stuff on top of them.
I snuggle up close to him to give him body heat.
Yeah. You guys get a little snug in, and that's great. So morning eventually does come.
I did not slip into the underworld.
No, you did not slip into the underworld.
Okay.
Everything's all good. You wake up, and outside of the tent, you see that Lampad sitting there, just continuing to do what it was doing last night. And it seems like it looks almost less alive in the daylight. Mechanically speaking, it's not diminished or anything like that, but just looking at this thing in daylight, like, it's almost harder to notice that it's a creature and not just like part of the forestry around. The brilliant kind of purplish light that leaks out of it and stuff is much less noticeable in the daytime.
I ask it, do you eat?
I subsist on... No, I do not eat.
I just start eating.
Cool. Yeah, you guys sit down and the two of you have a meal while this bizarre fey creature just kind of like watches you. And when I say watches you, I mean the whole time it's just like staring at you eat. And then you finished up your meal.
Do you know a fast way to the giant?
It says, not one that you could travel through. Unless you were... No.
Do you know the fastest way that I could go?
Yes. I will show you.
Thank you.
Certainly. It's my pleasure. And Aoife's just like, oh man, can we like trust this guy? I'm like, what's going on with all that?
I think we play along at least.
Aoife says, I mean, I guess it hasn't attacked us yet, so
we did
totally
sleep a
could've...
full night under its watch.
That's true. It's pretty great. All right, I'm convinced. Just
what did he say to call him? Lampus?
Lampus, yeah.
Okay.
Was
Lampus?
the name that Lampus, like Lampa.
Okay.
Yeah, was the name that it gave to you.
Lampus, this is Aoife.
Just turns and looks at Aoife and says, okay. Hello, Aoife. Aoife says, hi. Hi. It says, well, now that that is over, let us go. Just starts like walking through the forest. He's just like, all right, and just pulls the pack up with like the spear and shield on it and stuff. And you guys start heading heading through the forest, still in that southern direction. And this is the point where, you know, it becomes much more obvious that you are no longer in the Nessian Wood. You are now well beyond that kind of middling few miles of overlappage that happens between the two, and you are now just straight up in the Despair Lands. And it is immediately obvious to you why this place is referred to as such. The ground itself is it's mostly dirt that has a texture akin to ash more than anything else. Any foliage that is left here is just like a desiccated version of what may have at one time been massive trees and fauna. But you go, and what you see is, I mean, while Androfel is this massive necropolis to like the far southern end of this continent, you see what appears almost like a fortress. Large wooden and stone walls with several, like a gate kind of at each cardinal direction. To you, this looks like a place that was built recently. Like, there's a lot of ancient architecture in Theros, but this looks like something that has been built within like the past couple of years for sure. And also, given that you didn't know this was here, because I mean, this is the kind of thing where while you might not be like a ranger who comes out here very often, you would definitely, like, you know, of Androfel because it's, or Asphodel, sorry, because it's this massive necropolis. Like, you would have heard about like a fortress at the edge of the Nessian Wood. So the fact that you haven't heard about this would also be quite indicative that it's relatively recent, and anyone who does know about it, like, that word just hasn't spread yet to the wider groups outside of the Rangers.
Erebos, are we going to have to go through many returned to get to the giant one?
Lepus just looks at you and says, the giant one is there, and points up and kind of where this fortress is built. It's not just in the middle of the plain. Like, there's a pretty substantial, I wouldn't call it a mountain, but a very hilly, mountainous. It's like bordering on the cusp of a mountain, but it's quite a large hill that this fortress is built kind of around and halfway into. And the top of that, from here, you would be able to see what appears to be a church-like building. It is not necessarily a church, but it is a large structure of import that stands at the top that looks very similar to a church in the way that it's built. And it's kind of has that like domed roof on the top of it that's just capped with gold. And Lampas is just like pointing at that.
Right there at the tippy top, huh?
Lampas says, yes. And around this time, you hear the sound of footsteps coming in this direction. Not like last time, though. This isn't like 5 or 6. It sounds like hundreds of people that you hear before. And I mean, you'd be able to see, because this area is hilly, but not immensely so, like a huge attachment of returned that are coming out. They don't look like they look like, some of them look like warriors, but most of them are just wielding like axes and stuff. And they, I mean, yeah, they're kind of headed in this direction.
I think we need to hide.
Yeah, go ahead and you can make a stealth check for me. Okay. Okay. Let's see how Aoife does. Aoife rolled just a little bit worse than you. Let's see how Lampus does. Cool.
How did Lampus do?
Lampus did really good. the best they could do, you could even say. Um, so you guys are kind of like on not again, there's no real road, but in the path of this like force of like a couple hundred returned coming this way. And you guys kind of take refuge behind like a boulder or something like that. And Lampa's just like puts a hand on your shoulder, and it's like one of these kind of things where each finger just kind of comes down over your shoulder, and they're like half an inch longer than they probably should be, and it's this very uncanny valley. And like you're like this far away from this thing's face, and it just looks at you and says, "Not here." They will find us. And says, "How long can you hold your breath for?"
How long can I hold my breath for? There's a thing for that, isn't there?
It's a set amount of time. It's based on your constitution, and if you're actively trying to hold your breath, you have to make a constitution check.
So should I make one?
That depends. You don't have to make it yet.
Well, how do I determine what to tell Lepus?
How good is your constitution?
16.
That's pretty decent. Yeah. That's good.
A while.
You can hold your breath probably for a little bit. Lampa says...
A couple minutes?
Okay. I suggest you do that now. And it says, "Oh, well, never mind." And already has a hand on your shoulder and places another hand on the shoulder of Aoife. And Aoife, like, kind of just like, ugh. Before Aoife even really has time to react to that, Lampa's basically, for lack of a better term, wargs you guys into the skeleton of a nearby dead stag. And you are pulled into this creature's corpse. And you are unable to breathe while you're in here. But you can make a constitution check and see how long you can hold your breath for. You can do this with advantage because you were aware about that this was about to happen. Or Lepus gave you warning, rather.
A check or a save?
A save, sorry. So yeah, if you're proficient, you can have proficiency. 13's not bad. Let me just Google something real quick. Right, okay, so you have a 16, right? So that means you can hold your breath for 3 minutes before you have to start making con saves, which is a good amount of time.
Okay.
And then your first save would be a pass. It's basically that's a con save that just gets harder as time goes on.
Okay.
And eventually it will become impossible. And Aoife is a little bit less conspicuous as you are, but rolls amazing on the checks, so that's okay. So that's good enough. Yeah, you basically get pulled into this, and Lampas, who's still able to just exist and speak inside of it. You're almost, it's not quite the ethereal plane. You're almost like in a section of the underworld that overlaps with this one. Literally being housed inside of this deceased creature's remains. And Lampas says to you, "This is what I was referring to when I said there was a way that you could not go." And you can still see the outside world, and you see all of these returned, like, passing by. And eventually they all just move past you. And it's very weird, because normally in a situation like this, you would have the ones who are clearly in charge, like, barking orders and, like, giving commands and stuff like that. That is not the case. It is quite uncanny as this, like, silent mob of, like, a couple hundred faceless individuals all wearing these gold masks just plods past you. And eventually they move far enough away where it is safe, and Lampas just kind of like undoes whatever effect it was doing, and you come out of this creature's remains.
That's a neat trick. And I look to Aoife to make sure he's okay. They're okay.
Aoife's fine, oddly enough. Aoife's like still, again, it's like gasping, but is not like on the cusp of passing out or anything. Alpha says, "You did well. Were you to lose your breath in there, your soul may have escaped your body, but I knew you could do it." And you just behind you in the direction you came from, where you can still kind of see the border of the forest, you just see all of these guys just like start hacking up the trees and stuff like that, and bringing low these like massive trees that have probably been there for like hundreds of years. But ultimately, there's not really a whole lot you can do about that in this moment. And yeah, the fort lies ahead of you.
Let's go. Wait. Should we put on the masks?
Alpha says that would be one way to get in. Aoife says, I mean, I'm sure you could probably sneak in, but if you don't want to go in by yourself, it might not be a bad idea.
Yeah, I hand him one of the masks, I put on one of the masks, and I use my disguise kit to make us up.
Yeah, roll a check with your disguise kit, and this is basically just going to determine the DC that they're going to have to beat. Again, you can take advantage on this if you want to take like half an hour to do this.
Yes.
Because Aoife would be giving you the help action, as it were.
There we go.
Cool.
That's
so
better.
basically, in order to determine that you are in disguise, someone would have to pass an insight of 24, which is quite a high bar.
And I would put like extra clothes on Lampus and give them a mask as well.
Yeah, for sure. It's funny because as you do so, like they're bundled up, but there's still like little bits of purple light that kind of escape out of like some of the cracks and stuff. But yeah, you guys make 3 pretty convincing return. So you, I guess, start heading towards this fortress. As you do, again, you get closer and you see these straight walls. It's kind of like a 6-sided fort with like points at the end of each point is like a massive like ballista, and a gate in each cardinal direction. And as you get closer, you see the walls are just like lined with guards, who most of them have these weird like masks that come out and stick out like quite wide. And where are you? Sentry. There you are. Let's go ahead and see how these guys do. Okay. So you guys are walking. The gates are not shut right now because a bunch of people just left. As you walk in, you just kind of see the heads of 4 of these sentries near the gate. These silent watchers just like kind of turn and watch you go in.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't move to grab weapons or anything.
Okay. We'll just walk in like we own the place.
Yeah. You find yourself inside of this returned occupied fort. There are buildings and stuff in here, but almost all of them lack any of the like architectural creativeness that you've seen before. Like they have houses and they have like what is clearly an area for training soldiers, and they have like all the stuff you'd expect to see in a fort like this, with the exception of like a mess hall and like a place to eat. You do not see that anywhere. But it all is just like block shapes. Like a house is like a rectangle with a flat roof that is made from stone, and there's like nothing else to it.
No.
Whereas even your people who like don't necessarily do a lot of crazy architectural stuff still take pride in the houses and buildings they do build and how it's like interwoven with nature. Or the people of Melitus, who go to great extents to make their architecture like for them, architecture is almost a form of worship to Afar, the goddess of cities. So all their architecture is like extremely ornate and beautiful. Like the people of Akros, all of their architecture, while Spartan in a way is still built to honor the gods, and like there's still care and like creativity put into it that like architects have taken time to design these buildings. You don't get any semblance of that. Like this is just built to serve a function, and that's it. um and you just kind of see this as you walk around, and there are a bunch of returned in here who seem to be non-combatants that like don't have weapons or anything and are just dressed in like very simple like pullover, like something akin to like a toga, almost just like what you'd see pretty much any common citizen wearing. Just going about their business, like moving things from one place to another, um working on building things up, just kind of walking around going about their business. And none of them seem to pay you any mind. In here, it's not quite as deathly silent as that last group, like because there are things to be discussed and things that have to happen. There are people are talking, like people are communicating in common and stuff, but it's all generally pretty simple ideas, like bring me this, I'm here to give you this, that kind of thing. But yeah, they're going about their business. You see all these golden masks everywhere. And as you get closer to kind of the northern end of this fort, you can see this large outcropping and this what looks to be, you can roll like a religion check for me, if you would be so kind.
Absolutely.
Cool. You see a big gold domed building as I described before. It's there, and that doesn't really mean anything to you. But
I
you
would
see
ask
this.
Aoife what if he knows, if they know,
Aoife, let's roll.
and if Aoife doesn't know, then I would ask Lampus.
Let's roll with advantage because this is something they would likely know, but who knows? Oh yeah. Aoife would be able to tell you that this is a temple built. It's probably the only building that has any sense of like pomp and circumstance to it, and like any sense of architectural like intent built to it, because this isn't just a random structure. This is a structure built to honor a god. And Aoife would tell you that this is a temple of Fenax. Fenax is a deity you would know of, but probably wouldn't know much of. Fenax is the only god that abides the return's existence. While some of the gods might not actively hate the return the way that Erebos or Heliod do, most of them at best are ambivalent towards them. Fenax is like the patron god of return. Fenax was the first person to ever escape the underworld. And he was the first person to ever craft a golden mask, and was able to achieve godhood through worship of other returned who came back from the underworld. And is therefore the god of the returned, and is the god of trickery and the god of deception, because often returned will pray to him to give them, to basically make their passage back into the mortal world unseen by the other deities. So he's basically your kind of catch-all god of cloak and dagger, trickery, deception, lying, scheming, that kind of thing. Which is why the returned worship him, because they look to him for protection from the other gods, and they also look to him because he was the first of their kind. And that's something that Erebos mentioned to you, saying Isidoros took the path of Fenax. The path of Fenax is one of the only known ways in and out of the underworld from the mortal plane, okay, which is the path that Fenax first took when he escaped. And that is who this temple is built to.
Okay.
This would probably be the first time you've ever seen a temple built to Fenax, because most societies don't abide him.
Okay.
And those that do typically worship him in secret, like thieves guilds would likely have little like kind of
altars to him,
sanctuaries and altars to him, but there would never be in any real proper city state like a massive temple like this built to him.
Let's go.
Cool. So you go, And none of the guards really hassle you. They just see you as three other gold-faced people who are just walking through the city. You get to the point where there is a path that leads up to this temple. And it's like a switchback kind of trail that kind of goes up and then curves and then back and then back and then back and just kind of meanders its way up to the top of this rocky, craggy, kind of mountainous hill that is here. And that's pretty much the only way you can see that will take you up there.
We head that way.
All right. You start walking up. As you go up, it takes you a good 30 minutes to climb up this path just because, again, switchbacks, if any of you have ever been hiking, it is a bitch. There aren't really stairs properly carved into here. There are places where there are stairs carved where it's like it would be too much to try to get up that point. And you kind of get the impression that like maybe they're working on putting stairs in, but like this is, again, a fairly new place. So
the hardest I've ever breathed was on a switchback trail.
Yeah.
Like ever. Like I thought I was going to die. I like cried.
So yeah, while it's probably not quite that intense, it is still going to take you a while to get up here. And yeah, you get up and you're at like the third or fourth kind of column down. And you see the base of this massive building. And I will actually take us to a map here. Let me just put you and your friends on here. Well, 20, if you want to just work with me today, this one time. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. So yeah, what are you like saying to your companions here while you're going up this trail?
I'm asking Lempus advice for if there's more than just the giant in there, or if he knows anything about the giant that might aid us in battle.
Lempus doesn't really know anything about specifically what or how many or whatever might be in there. But he would be able to tell you that Isidoros is a returned fire giant, which basically just to you would mean he's probably immune to fire. And okay. He's big and strong and a little bit scary. So yeah, I will bring us to this map. Boom. I'll bring it to the map here as well.
Should I be seeing things?
Can you not see things?
I cannot see things.
Oh, I'm sorry. I need to give you sight on your token. There you go. Can you see things now?
Yes.
Oops. Okay, perfect. You can see everything I need to do. Okay. Sorry about that, folks. There we go. Okay. So, going up the side of this mountain, you see there are numerous guards just kind of like watching the path. And yeah, also just for what it's worth, I'll explain that ability that Lampus used earlier. Lampus has the ability to go into a dead thing and come out of another corpse that is within 60 feet.
That's fucking rad.
But there's no stipulation on how long they have to stay in the corpse for, so that's what that was all about. Anyways, yeah, you basically see what you see. There are these guards. They are a bit more... this is something you would know. They're guarding this path for a reason. It's likely that, like, yeah, while you're in the city, no one really gives a shit, but these guys might be a bit more scrutinous of someone who's trying to come up here. Not to say that you won't be able to get away with using a disguise, but just, like, they're going to be paying more attention, basically, than the normal guards would. So yeah, you see exactly what you see. You're there with your companions at the base of this switchback here, and you're just kind of coming up after a hefty walk up the mountain.
We would just keep moving until stopped.
Okay. So you guys would get like pretty much here, honestly. At which point this returned will step over to you and just kind of blocks the path. It doesn't really say anything for like an uncomfortable amount of time, which you get the impression that might just be normal for them. These ones have these really interesting masks that are like long at the bottom. They have like this long chin part, and this part of their face kind of comes up around, not quite like horns, but they have like almost triangular shaped masks. In this return, just kind of looks down at you, looks up, and says, "What business at the temple do you have?"
We're new. We were sent here.
You can roll deception to try and talk your way past this lad. That's not bad. You have a 0 mod to deception?
Yeah.
That's interesting. I don't know why I thought it was
the one who made
higher.
the character.
That's not true.
You're the one that gave it the stats.
Yeah, but you picked all the proficiencies and everything. Anyways, that's gonna just be a straight up versus insight. Cool. The sentry just looks at you and says, "Your mask shows much wear for someone who is new."
I'm clumsy.
Well, a deception check at disadvantage. And let's see how they do. Yeah, just barely, but essentially kind of looks over you and says, not the type of person I would expect to allow entry into the temple." And you see them turn, and you get the impression that they're about to call for one of the other guards to come down.
I'm going to stab him in the back.
Okay, make an attack roll, and you have advantage because he cannot see you. That's definitely a hit. And he's surprised, so it's an automatic crit as well. So, yeah. So that's 8.
God damn it.
9, 10. That first attack, you didn't put your sneak attack on there, did you?
Yeah, I did. Right
I
there.
don't see it.
Sneak attack 2.
Oh, it was only 2.
Yeah.
But you double the sneak attack because it's a crit, right?
Oh, right.
So you roll
Thank
twice.
God.
Oh. That was just enough. You don't have to roll your second attack. The first one kills him.
Okay.
So he turns, and you get that impression that he's about to like call someone over, and you just take that opportunity, you just grab him and slit his throat, and he just dies. He's dead immediately.
I will keep his mask in my hand as he falls down.
I'm going to now roll a perception check. Are you trying to be quiet about this? Or are you
Yes.
just okay? Then you can go ahead and roll a stealth check as well. That's pretty good. Let's see if this other dude notices you. The one who's standing over here. You know, I was gonna say he notices the body after a few rounds, but he just rolled a natural 1. So this dude is just like looking over here. Like he's looking the other direction. Maybe taking a moment to consider like I should really write that book. He's looking
I would
off
prop
in
him in the crevice
yeah,
so that he's pretty hidden.
Jam this dude between these rocks. Yeah.
But I take his mask and attach it to my vest.
Totally. I'm assuming you have the masks like inside of your cloak right now, so that someone's not just like, huh, why do you have all those faces? Yeah. Okay. Cool. So you do that and you stash his body away. And then just keep going up the trail, I imagine?
Until stopped.
Okay. You'll get up to, there's another guard who's just kind of standing over here watching over the cliff. Again, we'll step into your way. And just say, who is it that goes there? I did not hear the call for any visitors.
We're new. We're being sent to the temple.
You can roll deception with advantage. Because he's assuming that you just
made it past a bunch of other guards.
The other guy.
Yeah.
Cool. He says, very well. I did not hear Arathon speak the word, but clearly he let you through, so... And he kind of steps out of the way. And then we're going to do a quick one of these.
Do you need to speak the word to the next man?
He says, no. If you are this far, I assume the others will assume that you are meant to be here. Why should I speak the word?
I don't know. I'm new. And I keep walking.
Cool. He rolled a nat 1 in his insight, so despite that, he's gonna let you just go. So yeah, you meander around this path, and you will eventually get up to be up here. Whoops, I just put you way up there. As you kind of come up the temple steps, you walk past another 2 guards, and you find yourself up here. From up here, you can see there's 4 guards standing way in front of the temple doors. And they don't hassle you or anything. I mean, you've got your masks on, your disguises are sound. They assume that you're meant to be here. So you can just kind of go right on up. I need to delete a thing. There it is. These 2 open the doors for you. Just kind of swinging them open. As they do so, they both give you a nod and just say, shadows protect you.
And also you.
Perfect. You make your way through. That seems like the thing you were supposed to say. And you see an altar at the other end of the room over here, which is 2 Fenax. And in front of it, you see a fire giant, which is literally a huge creature. They stand like 23, 24 feet tall. Although you may have seen a fire giant or at least heard depictions of them, they usually have this great like mane of burning fire around their heads that kind of just goes at all times. This one still has that, but it's like this dark, sickly blue kind of color. And as you come in, the temple doors shut behind you. And he is facing away from you right now, kind of kneeling at this altar. And he is just adorned in kind of typical fire giant fare when they aren't like going out to fight. Like he's not wearing his plate armor or anything. He is wearing just kind of like loose fitting, comfortable clothes that are like woolen and stuff. And he doesn't turn to face you or anything.
Okay, I would whisper to Lampus, can you freeze that door shut?
Lampus says to you, I can certainly use some of my magic to hold it shut as long as you need.
Excellent. And then I run up and attack the giant.
Cool. So Lampus is gonna stand here and basically is just like starts channeling this necrotic energy on like the door, and it just kind of like seals up the gap, almost as if he's like pulling the air out of the space between the door, and it's like vacuum sealing it in a way. So you're running up and attacking him, or you just you want to be standing right behind him?
Yep, just fucking. Oh no! I'm gonna whip him from back here.
Okay. Cool. So let's get out the initiative tracker. Boom. Let's roll initiative just so we get it on the board.
Mm-hmm.
Aoife.
Aoife's our healer. We want him to go last.
That's actually true. You're not wrong. And let's roll initiative for you, my friend.
What's his name one more time? I'm so sorry.
Isidoros.
Isidoros.
Okay. Let's switch this up a little bit. So yeah, so you are gonna whip. Are you doing like your 1 per day super long range whip attack?
Will it hit him from here if I don't?
No.
It only reaches like 10, right?
A whip has a 10-foot range, yeah.
Yeah, I'll do my one long range one.
Big attack. Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a second here. Just gonna put some combat music on, because that's fun. So yeah, you come up behind this dude and unfurl Mastix, the whip of Erebos, at your side, and you can go ahead and make an attack roll with it. This attack has advantage because he's not aware that you're there. He does not yet risen to acknowledge you, so go ahead and go for it. 13 is 13 is a mess.
Fuck's sake.
Against this large lad. That is unfortunate.
Okay, well then, my smooth recovery is when I crack the whip. I say, Isidoros, it is time for you to return to Erebos.
Cool. Would you like to do anything else with your turn?
No. I have my parrying dagger out and my whip.
Okay. So you issue what is effectively a challenge to this man. You do the whip, and it's actually crazy when you use this ability. The whip just like extends, and unfortunately doesn't hit him, but just like lashes at him. And snaps, and the echo just kind of reverberates through this chapel. And Isidoros just like puts one hand on the altar in front of him and like heaves himself up. And it's now that you look up at this giant, and you've heard tales of heroes going to slay giants, but never before has it been this visceral, like right in front of you.
I use my bonus action to wet myself.
There's a 28-foot man with burning hair who just turns around, and from his scabbard pulls a massive sword of bronze. And he just says to you, "Interlopers," and is going to move to an attack. What's your armor class?
17, but I would like to use my parrying dagger.
We'll see if he hits you first. The first attack is actually a miss.
Good.
The second attack, however, also a miss. So
Excellent.
he takes out this massive sword and just swings it at you, and you manage to duck it. And the second swing comes at you, and you manage to do that thing where you like dodge back. Any one of these blows potentially being life-threatening. It's Aoife's turn.
I say, it is no use, Isidoros. You're about to go the way of a lantern.
Damn, son. Throwing out lore-based shade at this giant. Aoife is going to make a couple spear attacks. With one hit and one miss. That's going to be 8 piercing damage. Since Aoife just gets in one jab. It's your turn again.
Alright. I'm gonna whip him.
Whip it good.
You are shitting me! I have this badass weapon and I can't use it!
Unbelievable. Keep in mind, you do have one use of inspiration, which should be checked on your sheet.
Okay, I'm gonna use it if that's okay.
You can use it, yep. The only reason I allow you to use this is because I'm assuming you did not know you had that.
I did
not.
not.
That is a hit. 22 is a hit. Yeah, so that's 11 slashing and 4 necrotic damage. So, with that, you lash out and hit him, and the whip, like, burns him as it peels away flesh from bone. And literally, like, it tears at his skin, and like you see like bits of fire like kind of spit out of the place where the whip hit him before sputtering out. And he looks at you and looks at the whip and just kind of like grunts like, ugh, and gets ready to
wait, I'm gonna use my bonus action to go over here and hide.
Cool. Make a stealth check.
Okay.
Sorry, Aoife, you should be here, not there.
Fuck!
This is incredible. All right. Let's see if he sees you first.
It's a nat 1. He definitely sees me, right?
You can't crit fail skill checks.
Okay.
You can't crit success skill checks either.
Okay.
You just did the worst you could possibly do.
Okay.
So yeah, he sees you. And is going to go here and swing.
Am I at least behind cover because of this column?
Oh, I mean, against like arrows or a regular enemy, absolutely. Against a giant, he's taking the column down whether he hits you or not. He is just destroying this pillar as he swings at you. Which, whoops, is going to be, that is a hit.
I'd like to use my parrying dagger.
Okay, you raise your AC up, and that, despite all odds, causes his first attack to actually miss.
Yes.
His second attack just hits you.
I can't use my parrying dagger again, can I?
You've already used your reaction. So. None of this stuff is plugged into Roll20. That's okay. I can just do this manually. Okay, so you're going to take. Woo. 19 slashing damage. And he just takes this pillar down. His first attack just destroys this pillar and would have hit you, and you just managed to like put both hands and like push up against the sword, causing it to not. The second one, however, does come down, and while not a mortal blow, slices you up for a good chunk of damage.
Nearly. Mortal blow.
That's his turn. Aoife's like, oh Jesus. Aoife is going to run over here and attack twice with their spear. For 2 hits.
Hell yeah.
Not a boy. Dealing a total of 12 damage. Okay. Around this time, you hear the guards outside like making a commotion and trying to open the door, but it is held fast by Lampos. These guys start coming up. Okay, it's your turn.
Is Lampus supposed to be in initiative?
No.
Okay.
He's just holding the door shut.
Okay.
If he backs away from that, we can roll him in, but then that means that all these guys are going to be able to start spilling in. 13.
I've got to be fucking kidding me.
This is actually mind-blowing.
I can't. I'll get in with the parrying dagger.
Okay. That's a hit. Okay, you get sneak attack because Aoife is still 5 feet away, but they have the spear, so they're like in melee. Okay. Cool.
I need this whip to be healing me.
Right? Anything else you'd like to do?
No, I used my bonus action.
Okay. The returned fire giant Erebos is going to attempt to swing once at you and swing once at Aoife. The first attack against you is a hit.
I'd like to use my parrying dagger.
It just barely manages to bring your AC up high enough that it does not hit you. The second attack.
Did he just crit on Aoife?
Yeah. It's gonna cause a couple wounds to Aoife. So literally what happens is you manage to like push this thing up with the parry dagger, and the same swipe, he just keeps going, and it just like smashes into Aoife's shield and like sends them reeling back almost against the ground. Splitting part of the shield open. That person's hand is definitely broken. It's Aoife's turn.
Aoife!
Aoife is going to go to try to kind of like dance around this guy and do spear attacks. Woo! Well, the first one's a crit.
Yes.
And the second one's a regular hit. So that's 17 plus 9.
Fuck yes, Aoife.
Casual 26. Aoife never one to just take a beating lying down, gets visibly angry for maybe the 3rd time you've ever seen this happen in your life, and just fucking stabs him a couple of good times, like running back and stabbing him in the legs as he makes his way back, or as they make their way back there. It's on you. That is a hit. Cool. So that's going to be 14
18
damage.
Yeah, and then...
And you heal for 3.
6. For 3?
Yeah. You're getting hit points equal to half the amount of necrotic damage dealt.
I thought it was the full amount. Okay.
That would be insane.
I mean,
it's already insane.
The parrying dagger.
Don't forget to add your sneak attack onto that as well.
Good call.
It's another casual 11. Jesus Christ, dude. Okay. Yeah, the 19 with the parrying dagger is definitely a hit for max damage again. That's just cool. Great. Okay. Fire Giant, enraged, is going to... Oh. Hold on a second. Nice, that did work. Okay, I don't have to roll manually. I can just drop it in. Great. is going to attack with his sword. Oh my god.
Did he just crit against me?
No. And the second attack is... Oh my god, dude. Okay, he attacks you once and Aoife once, both of which are critical hits.
Fuck.
The attack against you is going to deal 50 damage.
Well, heroic destiny. Here you go, chat.
The attack against Aoife is going to deal 45 damage. Does that just outright kill them? Okay, Aoife is not immediately killed, but is unconscious. This giant, just enraged by what's happening, just starts slamming the ground with this massive bronze sword. Hits you directly, assumes you're dead, pulls up and swings down at Aoife. Again, that influence of Erebos just hanging over you, your body refusing to let your soul leave, basically. And then just slams into Aoife, and you see it just clean cleaves one of Aoife's arms off, and Aoife crumples to the ground.
Okay.
It's Aoife's turn. Let's call that a casual death save.
Fuck.
Aoife.
Ah!
One failure. That's one failure.
It was a 14!
It is your turn.
Okay. So, since he thinks that I'm dead, can I surprise him?
Yeah, I'll allow that because, like, he doesn't know that you have this ability and just fucking hit you with something that would kill anyone he's seen before, so you have advantage. And he would be surprised. That's definitely a hit. It's automatically a crit because he's surprised.
So what extra die do I roll? A
so
D4?
You need to roll an additional 2d8 and an additional d4. And then hit your sneak attack twice.
So that's 8 health that I just got, right?
So you just got 8. No, sorry, it was... Yes. No, wait, the necrotic damage was 11. Plus another 6. So that's 17.
So 8.
You would get back... Yeah, 8. Yeah. Sorry.
That's okay.
I was looking at those two different instances. But yeah. Okay, so how much damage is this altogether? That's 18, 19, 25, 30, 36 damage. Oh my god, dude. How do you want to bring him down?
I'll say, Erebos, one life for another, and rip up his mask and shove my dagger in.
Yeah, you just, like, climb up this dude's back and, like, pull up the mask and just stab through the neck with the dagger.
And then I ride him down and tend to Aoife.
Cool. You do that. You bring down this giant. You ride down his corpse as he falls, just like this boom, boom. And you just watch the, like, fire coming out of this thing's hair and neck and stuff just sputter out and dissipate. And as you do pull the mask off, again, it's just that faceless visage with the holes kind of coming out of it. And that black smoke that also starts to dissipate. So yeah, you do that. And you land beside Aoife, who is suffering a grievous wound. As on the other side of the room, there's just like this banging against the door, and Lampa is just like doesn't say anything, but just their head turns and looks as the fire giant falls, still keeping all these dudes at bay. Yeah, Aoife's bleeding out. You can attempt a medicine check to try to stabilize. You need to hit a 15 to stabilize somebody. That is a failure, which means that Aoife is going to make a death save. One success, which means that we go through another round. You can attempt another medicine check if you want. That's not enough. Let's go. Another pass. It's another pass. You can attempt another medicine check if you want.
Oh my god!
Just barely not enough. This could be him or them, rather, surviving. And that's a success.
Okay.
So Eva is still unconscious, but stable.
Does Aoife...
you get over
I start rooting around in Aoife's pockets to see if they have a potion.
Aoife does not have a health potion in their inventory.
Bandages, anything that could help me bring them back.
You would find like bandages and stuff, but nothing that's going to straight up recover HP in combat. There's no health potions or anything.
I can use a medicine check though, right?
Not to bring someone back to consciousness.
Okay.
A medicine check will stabilize somebody. So
all right.
If you had hit a 15, like he would, or they would have stopped bleeding to death.
Okay. Lampus, how long can you fortify?
Lampus just looks and says, as long as is required, unless more come.
We need 8 hours.
It says, there will most certainly be more here within 8 hours. I would suggest we have about 20 minutes or so. And that's being optimistic.
All right. Here's the new plan. You're going to take Aoife and you're going to corpse hop to somewhere safe. I'm going to hide. And I will meet you there. Where we camped last night.
Okay. Lampa says, I can do this. If Aoife is not conscious, there is significant risk to their health. But I can certainly try.
Be fast. Keep him alive. Keep them alive.
Cool. So, Lampas comes over here, puts a hand on Aoife.
I'm gonna hide before he stops concentrating on that door.
Yeah, it'll be like at the end of this round, though, for sure. Puts a hand on Aoife, puts another hand on the giant, and disappears. Like, they just go into it, basically. And both of them are just gone. You can roll for me a stealth check. It's not bad. These guys all come in, see Doros is dead. And I imagine you're hiding, like, probably, I don't know, like
in the rafters or something.
Like, you try to get up. Yeah, sure. And these guys are going to make perception checks. Or they're going to try to, anyways. So you rolled a 20, so that's what they need to beat. So this is going to just be 4 straight. They don't have proficiency, so 4 straight wisdom checks. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, we've got a 13, a 16, a 10, and a 9. None of them seem to notice you. They come in here, and then just one of them calls out, like, to another guard back there, like, Isidorus is slain. raise the alarm, and you hear kind of clattering of other guards and stuff outside. These guys look around for like a good like couple minutes. They don't see you, and then they all go back out, and you hear them like shouting down that like the killer must be on the loose. But they do not see you, which means that we are no longer there. Okay, what do you want to do? You are in the temple.
I just realized I should have just had Aoife take me with.
Whoops, I just went to the away screen. For what it's worth, actually moving like someone like that, they can only take one person with them. It's like Misty Step kind of.
Okay.
I kind of like bent that a little bit for when you guys were just hiding and staying in one place, but like that's something that is like actually moving with that many people. It's outside of a Lamphead's ability.
Okay.
Although that's hilarious if that would have been the case. But
yeah. I look for any sneaky ways out of here that is not the front door.
Yeah, up towards the top, like the top of the dome, you would see there are these little like inlets, basically like moon windows, kind of. That definitely aren't large, but they're small enough that someone agile like yourself could pretty easily fit through there.
That's the way I will go.
Cool. So yeah, you climb out and you're on the roof of this like golden domed structure. And all around you, you can see below there are a bunch of these returned sentries and stuff, kind of mustering and like they're just searching everywhere. They're just searching the city and searching all around.
Okay, I'm still in my disguise, but I am hurt.
And your disguise also probably has a fair amount of blood on it from yourself and the giant. But you definitely still have your disguise on.
Okay. I guess I'm gonna look for an opening where there aren't people or aren't people looking.
Make a perception check. That's not bad. You can't see anywhere that's like a clear cut, like if I go this way, no one's gonna see me. But you can see kind of around the other side of this mountainous area. There's a part of this fortress where there's like less structures, like it looks like it might still be under construction. There's definitely still, you can still see in kind of the moonlight, like glinting of gold masks and stuff over there. But compared to all the other areas in this fortress, that's going to be your shot for sure.
I will take it. I will take that shot.
I am going to need a stealth check from you again as you try to clamber down the side and escape.
Oh, don't I need an acrobatics first?
No. I mean, for this, like, you can take your time and get down. Like,
okay.
I'm not going to make you roll acrobatics. You're a rogue assassin. You've scaled things before.
Okay.
If we're in the heat of combat, that's one thing. But in a situation like this is like child's play. So we won't worry about that. But yeah, 13 on stealth. Okay. So again, there's going to be a couple guys who are going to be trying to find you, and we'll see how they do. Okay. You clamber down, and you're kind of weaving and dodging and going through these and trying to like stick to the shadows and that kind of stuff. And you see a group of 4 guards approaching where you are, and there is nowhere for you to go that they are not going to find you.
Okay.
What would you like to do?
Once they get to me, I'm going to say, it must have been Heliod himself. He went that way, and point in the opposite direction.
Okay, yeah. Roll a deception check. That's pretty good. Let's see if they buy it.
And I'm like clutching my wound.
That's a nat 20 on insight.
Fuck's sake! I start running.
Cool. One of them literally just looks to you and just hears what you say, and is just like, "There's no reason for you to be here. You're covered in blood." It's like, it's very Assassin's Creed
God
style.
Damn
SSC. And they all draw their weapons and start chasing after you. So you have these 4 guards coming at you. Let's go ahead and call this a skill challenge. So I don't know if for those of you who are not familiar with a skill challenge, or if you have not done a skill challenge before, basically you're gonna need to get 3 successes before you get 3 failures on trying to escape, or these guys are going to catch up to you. So you can use any one of your skills that you have at your disposal. The only rule is that you cannot use the same skill twice, and you just need to explain to me how you're using that skill to escape.
Okay. I'm going to use acrobatics to somersault past them and back handspring and
do
stuff.
Some sweet parkour. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So we're going to call that DC like 13. Yeah, you pass. So that's 1 success.
And then I'm going to use stealth to stick to the shadows.
Yeah, that's also going to be a little, say, DC 13. Great.
And
that's
then
2 successes.
I'm going to use animal handling to catch a ride on a wild deer.
All right, that's going to be like DC 16.
Nope,
but
I'm gonna use perception to find a sneaky way out.
Okay, we'll call that DC 13. That makes sense. You cannot find a way out. You look around and you do not see a path.
Okay, sneaky deer, sneaky deer.
All right, roll that animal handling check.
Yes!
All right, so these guys come up on you, and you just tell the most bull-faced lie that anyone has ever told in Theros. Somewhere Heliod cringes that someone just used his name in such a bull-faced lie. And these guys come after you, and you manage to just like duck under their weapons and hop over a wall and kind of get somewhere hard to go, and then duck underneath some of these like overhanging like cloth construction mats and stuff. And they can't see you for a minute, and you're like, okay, I've lost them, but you still need to get out of here. You're looking around, you can't see anything. You run to the side, and this part of the wall is like opened up because it's not finished yet, so you're just on the brink of being outside of the city. And you look over, and you see this deer that appears skeletal in nature, with a pair of like golden stag horns. These golden horns coming off of its head that all kind of have like little golden like ringlets and stuff on them. And the deer itself is not like fully skeletal, but its face is skeletal and the rest of its body is kind of this like gray fur. And it's there almost as if it was waiting for you. And you run over and hop on its back, and it takes you the fuck out of Dodge as you run back through the Despair Lands towards the Nessian Forest. Several squads of returned chasing out the wall in vain, only for you to run away atop a steed that seemed ready, like a getaway driver, to take you far away from this place.
I don't deserve this.
I mean, look, you rolled well. I need to make it fit narratively. It's fine. Erebos sends an avatar of his will to aid in your escape from the mission that he sent you on. And you run back through the Despairelands over maybe an hour or so, and eventually, after a couple hours, you get back to the point where you last made camp. And I imagine all the camp stuff is still there. Like, you wouldn't have taken that trying to sneak into the town. So that little two-person tent is still there set up. Yeah, you do not see anyone else there. Lampas nor Aoife are there yet.
I pat the deer and
Snorts.
I say, "Can I give you anything?"
Make an insight check. This is definitely some type of Fey creature that was clearly sent here by Erebos to aid you.
What do Fey like?
Well, that's exactly the point, is like, it's an agent of Erebos. It's just like, dude, I'm just doing my job. Like, it doesn't really expect anything from you.
I give it one of the masks.
Cool. It like does this a little bit and like gets it hooked on one of its horns. So it's just kind of like slides down and is hanging on one of the pointed extensions of one of its horns. It just has this like returned face hanging on it.
And I go into the tent and I pass out.
Cool. Yeah, you fall asleep inside of the tent. And you have a bizarre dream of the Nyx, which, as previously described, much like the background that you can see on stream right now, actually, is just kind of this distant star field with all manner of swirling colors and different bright lights that aren't really stars as we know them. What are little motes of power and belief in the realm of the gods. And you see what appears to be almost like it's something you would see almost as the capstone of like a temple, except there's no temple there. It's just this square, finely hewn piece of stone with marble kind of inlaid throughout it. And on top of it, you see a loom and three women, all young, wearing white and gold clothing. Their skin like Vanta black, and that same starry texture of the Nyx kind of dotting them. But each of them with like faces that are visible through, with like golden features, like golden eyelashes and golden lips. The colored part of their eyes being gold as well, and golden hair. One of them is sitting at the loom working it, and it's just all you can hear in this space is just the like sound of the loom, like ka-chunk, and then just like threads being pulled through and just like pulled again and again until it stops. And the one who's working the loom looks to the other two and says, "Well, look at this." And the other two come over, and she pulls loose a single thread from the loom. And then they all share a bit of a laugh amongst each other. And then you wake up. And you are in your tent. And you don't see Aoife nor the lampad inside the tent itself.
I will rush out.
Yeah, you come outside and you see Lampas on a single knee, crouched beside Aoife, who is like leaning back against a tree, one arm still missing, tied taut with the kind of tourniquet you did in the heat of the moment. And Lampas just kind of like turns and looks at you and doesn't say anything, and Aoife's eyes are closed.
Is there anything we can do for him?
Are you coming over at this point to them?
Yeah.
Cool. Lampas just says, I was as gentle as I could be. And Aoife's eyes like kind of slowly open and they raise up a hand to like touch your arm. And Aoife just says, I knew you could do it, and like beams up at you with like a big smile.
I hug Aoife gently.
Yeah, Aoife gives you reciprocates the hug with one arm. Says, now let's get out of here.
You need to rest first.
Says, I can rest when we get back home. Can you carry the backpack though? I'm kind of.
Yeah. Thank you. And I turn to Lampus and I say, and thank you.
Yeah. Lampus just looks at you and says, I will see you at least back from whence you came.
Till we meet again.
And
he will see us back. Got it.
Yeah. And we'll take you, we'll go back pretty much the way you came. And as you get to that threshold again where the Nessian Wood starts to become more abundant versus the realm of death and decay that is the Despair Lands, Lampos kind of pauses and just looks to you and says, well, this is the edge of my domain. You would find me much less useful were I to continue with you. But should you find yourself in the Despair Lands once again, be sure to say hello.
Till we meet again.
Oh, we will. And Lampos just kind of like fades back into the environment. And with that ominous parting, you just continue through the Nessian Wood. Again, over a couple of days, you this time around taking on the burden of carrying most of the stuff. And you find yourself back in Setessa. Also, something I should mention is you have this giant mask with you, which is huge. I mean, it's like the other masks are like this, right? Because it's like a person's face. This one is like, it's big, right?
Is it
like
big
it's
enough for Aoife and the bag to sit on and me like drag it behind?
Yeah, but I mean, Aoife is able to walk. They just their arm is gone, so they can't really.
I just want them to rest.
Yeah, that's. I mean, you can do that. That would take it. Going through the woods is very hard because it's not like flat ground, right? Like you're going over vines and like stumps and like all kinds of crap. Like there's not really a trail. But for parts of it, you definitely could.
Okay. For parts of it, I would.
Yeah, and it's like this. It's like the size of like a giant shield, basically. Like it's like a equivalent to like one of those big ground shields, except obviously in the shape of a mask. But yeah. So you go back, and you arrive after about a week back in Setessa. Of course, the gates open as they typically are. It's very hard for anyone who would be a threat to get here in the first place. And it's nighttime. You go in, and yeah, what would you like to do?
First, I would get Aoife to whatever Medica there was.
Yeah, you would take her, or them rather, to the temple, which would be where Aoife actually like studies. So yeah, you just roll up to the temple of Karametra.
And I would ask Aoife if they want me to go in with them, or if they want to go in alone.
Yeah, Aoife says, I mean, there's no reason for me to go in alone, but I can manage from here. I assume you have other things you must tend to.
I will see you tomorrow. I will come see you.
Aoife nods and says, yes, you will. And they make their way inside of the Temple of Karametra, where like immediately like you see a couple priestesses like come over and they're like, oh my god, like what happened? And usher Eva back inside the temple.
And I
One
go
of them
to the
already
shrine.
starting to cast like cure wounds on this person's like stomp to stop their arm from like bleeding and stuff. Yeah, so you go back to
The shrine of Erebos.
the shrine of Erebos. Yeah, sure. So you go back to this shrine that many don't know of, that is kind of hidden and overgrown just outside of the core of the city. In this temple, again, all of the candles are lit almost as if someone was expecting you. You enter and I assume place the giant mask on the altar.
And the others.
Yeah, so you place just this giant mask, and then just like these other like dozen or so masks that were taken. And as you put them on the altar, you see them start to heat up, and they all just melt down into this like pool of gold, basically. And you hear that same familiar voice say, "You have done very, very well. It was not an easy thing that I asked of you."
It came with a big cost.
You feel a hand on your shoulder, and from the other side walks around this figure of a man standing like 6'2", shroud in this black robe, with a long neck, gray ashen skin, and two massive golden horns coming out of their head that twist away.
I fall
and again,
to a knee.
much like the whip, any parts that are kind of obscured by shadow and darkness, just you see that visage of the Nyx as Erebos, the god of death, manifests himself
Yeah,
in this little shrine.
I fall to one knee and I lift Mastix up to him.
Yeah. He reaches down and grabs the handle of the whip and pulls it up and looks at it and just starts like coiling it slowly, like doing that thing where he twists with each turn, coiling it back up. And it's so bizarre as he's coiling it, like it's just never ending. Like he keeps pulling more of it out of your hand, and it doesn't feel like it's getting any lighter, nor does it feel like it was that heavy. And he's just infinitely coiling it around itself, and looks down at you, his eyes just like black pits that are kind of smoking out of them, much the same way that the return kind of have the smoke that leaks out of their holes in their face. And he says, "And you even had the good sense to return this to me. Truly, you are a champion." And eventually he does coil up the whip in its entirety and just puts it into his cloak, and it just kind of disappears into there. And he looks down and says, "Rise, Aspa.
I do.
For what you have done. You have proven to me your worth. And not just to me, but to those who may have sought to subvert what you want. Because after all, life is meant to be lived. Live while you can, for eventually everyone and everything will feel my grasp around them. But until that day comes, I give to you what is yours. All you need do is take it. And he just kind of dematerializes, leaving behind just these little specks of like Nyx dust. Yeah.
Probably fall down and cry a little.
Sure, yeah. You pull that and just take a moment, having just had a direct interaction with a deific force. And I imagine at some point you do pull yourself up and leave. As you go out, there is like a gathering in the center of town.
Actually, sorry, one thing. She would look back and say, "Thanks for that stag." And then...
Yeah. Oh, also something that I should mention is that stag like stayed with you. I forgot to mention this. It stayed with you the entire way back.
Oh. It's just like my stag now?
Yeah. It's like a mount. Like it stayed with you the entire walk. I brain farted on that. But yeah, it absolutely stayed with you and like would have let you ride it and stuff and would have helped you take Aoife back. And it's just like outside of the chapel, like waiting for you basically. But yeah, when you say that, like, thank you for that, the candles all just kind of blow out. And that is as close as you think you would probably get as a you're welcome from the god of death. But yeah, so you go out and the stag, as previously mentioned, is just chilling. And as you go back into town, it's, as I said, it's nighttime. But it was even when you got here. By this point, it's straight up nighttime. You can see a lot of light coming from like deeper into the city, and there seems to be some kind of like gathering happening in the center of town.
I approach.
Cool. As you go, you see what would be immediately obvious to you is a funeral procession, and a very obvious one, and a very what's the word I'm looking for, extravagant one, as like these priestesses are just taking a body that's kind of on like almost like a stretcher of like leaves and branches and stuff, but the person is like covered up in like all these like finely made quilts and that kind of stuff, so you can't see who it is, but a part of you already knows who it is.
I don't say anything. I just kind of bow my head, pay respects.
Yeah. And you overhear people talking, and would of course overhear that this is indeed Thalia. That about 4 days ago, late in the evening, she passed suddenly of some unknown affliction. She just dropped dead. No pain, no suffering, no sickness. She just died, all in the middle of like a conversation with somebody. And part of you knows that the moment that happened was the same moment that you cut down that giant. And you just almost it's the most uncanny thing through like all the hustle and bustle and all these people being around, as you're kind of moving, the coins that you have in your bag are clinking together. Almost the clinking of the coins almost makes the sound that reaches your ears. You hear a life for a life. And with that, we end today's session.
That was really fucking good. What a phenomenal storyteller you are. I'm sorry. This is so unprofessional.
That's okay. But yeah, so with that, and only one champion being left to choose from for the people of Setessa, we see how Aspa came to be that champion, and Aspa will return in Avengers Endgame. Aspa will return in Theros Strands of Fate, which will be starting next Wednesday. Or this coming Wednesday. I keep saying next Wednesday. I always get mixed up on that.
Yeah, less than a week away.
Yeah, this coming Wednesday. You will see Aspa and friends. Aspa in that game, Doxy is playing a character in that game, so Aspa is going to be an NPC.
Yeah.
But when you see her going around and doing stuff, now maybe you have a little bit more of an idea of where she came from and what her deal is. So I hope that you found this entertaining. I hope you found this fun. I hope you enjoyed this epilogue of our Theros campaign. That's my only real thing to shill. On Wednesday, definitely stick around and watch that. I don't know. Do you have anything you'd like to say to the people?
Yeah, I want them all to go look at your YouTube channel. I want them to, you guys need to get used to seeing these two together because we're basically merging our communities. He's still going to have solo content. I'm sure that I'm still going to have solo content, but we're going to be working together a whole lot, and it's going to be tabletop related. So Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, most of the time we will be streaming tabletop content together. And I want you to go and look at Josiah's YouTube. I want you to go and look at his Twitter. I want you to follow him on both of those places, both of those platforms. If you'd be so kind as to put your links in chat, please.
Also, just a quick question in chat asking about if this is going to go up on YouTube. The answer is yes. This VOD will mostly go up on Doxy's channel, actually. Because generally the way we've been doing it, just because I saw in chat that people were saying it would go on my channel, I do, for those of you who do not know, a show called Monster of the Week, which is all about crazy D&D monsters and old D&D monsters that don't exist in 5th edition. I do a stat block and convert them and all that stuff and bring them into 5th edition. So if you are a dungeon master looking for more cool monsters, or you just like D&D monsters and stuff, all of those videos are up on my channel. And we do Monster of the Week one-shots, where we take a monster that I've made and we do a one-shot with it. Those VODs go up on my channel. So on my channel, you'll see all the Monster of the Week videos, as well as the actual Monster of the Week D&D sessions. So last weekend, Coonsai64, Eric, in chat, actually, he DM'd a game for us. He used the Bogeyman, which was a monster that I converted from Pathfinder, and did a really awesome adventure surrounding that, which is up on my YouTube channel as well, which if you want to check that out, go nuts. But all the Theros D&D sessions that we're going to be doing on this channel will be up on Doxy's YouTube channel. So definitely subscribe to both. You'll see everything that way. Yeah, you can follow both of us on Twitter for all the updates and everything on what's going on. But the headline here is this coming Wednesday, and then every Wednesday for the next little bit. Theros Strands of Fate is going to be happening. It's going to be hype.
We got Russ Money. We got Apocalypto12/Tyler. We got Messy. We got me. We got Josiah. We got this dope-ass Greek mythology-inspired 5e setting. It's
also true.
Gonna be lit. Also, just so you know, chat, I did get stuff to cosplay as Karis as well.
Oh, that's right. You came in today. Yeah, it's going to be great. It's going to be hype. I'm really looking forward to that. It's super fun. All right. Well, we won't keep you any longer. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. Thank you guys so much for showing up. We will see you guys in the next one. Until then.
Love you. Bye.
That was what I was looking for. Okay. See ya. Thanks, guys.